Oh, Mike, you did it to me again. Folks, hello and welcome to Taverns.
I just remembered something to tell you. It was too late. Too late to
Too
stop
late,
the countdown.
Michael.
Too late to stop the countdown. No.
I can't stop the countdown. We're live. We've got people watching, or listening, or doing something. But yes, we are live. Welcome to Talking Crit, folks. The least professional live stream that you will ever find.
As case in point, yes.
Case in point. So,
I was going to say I talked to some potential guests for our next few shows, so we can throw that out there and let people know who we're going to have. A couple people,
Throw it out there. Let's hear.
Well, I talked to a Mr. Tom Wilson today, who he's got something called ShireCon coming up in about a month or a month and a half.
Oh, Mr. Carter, I'm a special guest there, Mr. Carter.
Well, he wanted to know if we could have him on the show, and he's got some other things. He's working on an adventure for North Texas. So the last few years we've done these kind of sequels to classic BX modules. We did B 2.5, which is Caves of the Unknown, which is a section. Those of you know, border. God dang it! Keep on the Borderlands. There's a little section called Cave of the Unknown that nobody ever developed. So, buddy of ours, Charlie Phipps, developed it. Tom and I added some encounters too, and it's a great BX module. Awesome. We put that together. We put it out for North Texas about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Still have copies, by the way, if anybody's interested. It's really, really good stuff. Matt Ray did a great cover for that. And then next year, one of a favorite module of Tom and I is Isle of Dread X1. So we did X1.5, which is an adventure on one of the islands close to Isle of Dread. So you can kind of, throw that in with Isle of Dread, or you could use the encounters on Isle of Dread if you wanted to. It's an island adventure. So there's a meta plot, but we threw in there's all these just various adventures on there, kind of like X1 Isle of Dread.
Right.
Well, another favorite module of ours is B4, the Lost City. And Tom didn't ask for my help this time because I'm so damn slow writing. So he did 4.5. I don't know what it's called, but it's going to be a sequel or an investigation. So if you know the Lost City, it's this pyramid that goes under the earth, and when you go under, there's this whole civilization under there, a whole city and all this stuff. Well, I think this is in a counter area somewhere, or the adventure area in there. And this is a 64-page module. This is
full size.
Oh yeah, we have lots of new art, lots of stuff. So North Texas paid for it. It was going to be released this year, and he was not quite finished at the con. And so we went to the issue of, do we want it quick or do we want it good? And I always say good. That's always been my answer, quick or good. I say the same thing when I'm making love with women. Quick or good. And I go for good every time. Although quick usually. I'm sorry. Anyway, so it's almost finished, and so we thought about it might come out early. So we were going to have him on. I thought we had him on. He'd talk about ShireCon, which is awesome. Talk about B 4.5, whatever else he's doing. Tom is he has a million projects going on. He's always got all this stuff. He's got the BX. The Back to Basic fanzine he's got going, which he released issue 11 at the con. He's just got stuff going all the time. So that was one guy I talked to today, and I said, yeah, we can work in, about August, September, before the con. Right. I thought that would be good. I figured you wouldn't have any objections to that. I thought that would be
no, none whatsoever.
Go on. And then the other person I talked to was Gary Oliver, who, along with myself, runs North Texas RPG Con. He has gotten a little behind on opening up signups for North Texas. We were going to try to do it July 1st, just couldn't get it. Now we're shooting for August 1st. And he said, hey, is there any way if before we do signups, or maybe the week after, if we could have you on the show, we could talk about the con? I said, we're always up talking about the con. I mean, yeah,
and do it the week after because
yeah,
it's timely. Then you don't want to do it before before signups go live. You go, I want to
no,
sign up. Oh, it's not
it's not up
live yet. Oh, son of a
no.
bitch.
So those are two potential guests I talked from the future, and we have of course, we have a bunch of people we can
A
talk to.
plethora.
But
You
a
have a plethora.
plethora.
A plethora of
I
people.
don't know. I'm looking at my magic bag given to me by Christodule. It has something called Kilburn Irish Whiskey. That's what we're going to go with tonight, kids.
Oh, let's see how it
Mixing
is.
it with my Diet Dr. Pepper.
Oh, well, you're mixing with Diet Dr. Pepper. It's got to be
Yeah,
good.
it's gonna be great.
Not having it straight
Hey,
or on the
so
rye.
so this is that time of year when it's miserably hot, and we get off on vacation. So last week I was in Milwaukee, not Milwaukee. I was in Madison, Wisconsin, and this week you're in your magical hideaway.
Magical Hideaway, folks. I'm leaning to the side so you can look out the back door and see trees.
Oh, it looks
Very
beautiful out there.
close to the house.
It has to be cool. It's got to be cooler than here in Texas.
Oh, and it's funny because, like, even at home, Rach and I, we have an AC in the bedroom. We have an AC in the workout / yoga room, and we had a non-working AC that was 15 or 16 years old in our living room, where I have my desk, and it died end of last summer. We bought a new one, and the new one was still sitting in a box. And New York was okay until last week. We saw what was coming last week with all these days in the 90s, and it's going to be humid. So we installed that AC literally the day before temperatures went insane. And it's part of the reason why my parents were up here in the Poconos prior. They're like, yeah, we're going to stay up for another week. Like, why?
Why come back to New York City if it's miserable hot? Yeah, it's no reason for that. Yeah, I agree with him. Look, if we could have stayed in Wisconsin all summer, I would have been happy. I mean, it was beautiful in Wisconsin. It was so gorgeous. Highs in the 80s, lows in the 70s or 60s. Just I could have easily stayed there, except for just too many things had going on here, and of course we couldn't just stay up there. You have to pay for hotel rooms and stuff, but oh my God, it was so beautiful. It was just so incredible. We get back here, it's been triple digits for straight 25 days. No rain. I mean, July was miserable. Just one of the most miserable Julys we probably had in over 20 years. We had a July I think it was about 97, where it was the first July in history of Texas where it didn't rain all summer. I don't think we've had one drop of rain in DFW. So this may be, what do we got? Another 3 or 4 days. This may break that record too, because it's just absolutely freaking miserable here. It is so awful. I'd kill to be where you are, or just even back in Wisconsin, because it was wonderful there.
I mean, we came up on Monday. We hit significant rain coming up, and since then, no rain. Daytime temperatures high 70s, low 80s. Nighttime, Monday was in the 50s. Otherwise, in the upper 60s. So it's a nice change from New York. New York gets it hits the extremes in the summertime. Not as bad as Texas, but we do get our times, and we have like 6 days in the 90s. So being up here, beautiful thing.
Well, one of the things
go ahead.
You don't have air conditioning everywhere in New York, right? So that's one thing in Texas. Every place is air conditioning. Any place you go into, they've got it cranked down. So everywhere you go, there's air conditioning. I've noticed up north they have a tendency, things just don't have air conditioning because, well, it's not going to get that hot usually. So it's probably worse up there.
Pocket Jacks wants to know if he can play a game with you in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Let's play outside. We'll play in the parking lot out front.
We'll fry some eggs while we go.
We'll fry some eggs on the side, and then we'll see who gives up first. I don't think we're playing D&D until it gets cool. I can't. Even the warehouse, it's miserable here. It's not this is like a building inside of a warehouse or a little built room. There's no insulation. It's just thin whatever. It just doesn't get cool in here. I mean, you can keep the air conditioner running all day, and all it does is jack up the electric bill. It does no good. It's horrible. So I'm gonna have to probably give up D&D at least until August or September because it is just miserable in here.
Wow.
Oh, I thought of something else we could talk about too. By the way, I'm going to hit 2 conventions this couple months. I'm going to ReaperCon next month, and then Texas Game Expo over in.
No, those are both fairly local, right?
Yeah, both very close. ReaperCon is up in Denton. That was kind of cool. Reaper's so close, it's awesome because you can just go up there anytime you like and just do a tour of the plant. It's just they're the nicest people ever, and they're just really cool. And so they had their own convention now about 10 years, maybe a couple years more than that. And Texas Game Expo missed a few years because just COVID, but they'll be back, and they're just a general gaming con. Tammy, I wish I'd come to SharkCon. That is on my list. SharkCon is on my list, a place to go. I told Tom if he gets that con more than 2 days, I'll be up there. I just can't justify a trip for 1 day con.
But now, Mike, do you know who's going from the Friday night show, from the random generated party? You know I'm going. You figured right. Joe the lawyer, he's local.
All the locals, yeah.
Matt Jackson.
Oh, okay.
And Rob Conley.
Conley will be there. Oh my gosh, that's a pretty hefty lineup there.
And
the big wigs, heavyweights,
and they'll both be rooming at Joe's apartment. So
now, so around SharkCon, you have to get like a bed and breakfast or something, right? There's
that's right. I never had. For me, it was always a 1 day con. I got up early in the morning on Saturday, and I usually left right before the evening session started, so I could be home by 8:30. This time, we last year we had a bed and breakfast reserved, but I had car problems literally days before the con. So this year,
that's right. I remember that. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I remember now. Yeah.
So this year we got the bed and breakfast, and we're going to be going up Friday. And we right tonight we're discussing. We're just like, are there any like bars or pubs in that town? I go, I don't think there are any. But I go,
it's a small town, right? I mean, that's what makes it kind of cool. It's just the colors probably turning right about then, and up, that's going to be beautiful. I'd love to go. I am going to, like I said, it's on my list. I have a very short list of places I want to go. Total Con's one of them, but that's in February, and in Massachusetts that may never get fulfilled. The best I can do is Gary Con in March. I don't know if I could do Total Con in February. That's a tough one.
Total Con's a fun con, though.
Oh, I'd love to go. It's just the weather just to cooperate. I pretty much. Oh, I got a great story to tell you, Eric.
Fire away.
Did I tell you I bought a car last week?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you're gonna love this story. So my wife, so I love to drive, and so as you probably, and Eric knows this, and most people know, I detest flying. I flew, the last time I flew for about 20 something years was in 2001. I detest flying, detest everything about it, detest the TSA, detest the tiny seats because I'm a big guy. I just don't like anything about it. I don't like waiting. I don't like being crammed into an airport for hours. So the flight was summer of 2001. We flew in from Denver. We had to wait at the Denver. If we could have drove home, we found out later we could have drove home faster. We were at the airport for 12 hours. And they kept telling us for 12 hours that our flight was going to be in 30 minutes. Imagine that for 12 hours. Oh, 30 minutes, you'll be fine. We taxied out the runway twice. Twice we taxied out the runway, had to come back in. By the time I got home, I was through with flying pretty much forever. I said, if I never have to fly again, I will never fly again. I felt like I was held hostage. So I didn't fly again until about 3 years ago. I went to SnowCon up in Maine in January. But I did that because my brother and Zach Glazier had such a fun time. Lloyd Metcalf is there. They convinced me to go. It wasn't too bad. I hadn't flown in about 20-something years or whatever. But it was okay. It wasn't horrible. Getting back was a pickle. It was hard because we got bumped because of the weather. And then last year I flew twice. I flew up here from South Texas for TylerCon, LongCon,
Mm-hmm.
in Longview, Texas, and then I flew back, which wasn't bad. Those were like really short little flights, but I detest flying. I can't. So we drive everywhere we go. So when we go to Wisconsin, it's a 2-day drive. We'll just drive there. I'm going to go visit Zach in Arizona this fall. I'm going to just drive there. It's a 2-day drive. I'll just stop. I mean, stop and smell the roses, right? Well, why are you in such a hurry, guys? Just take your time, get in a car, take Route 66, do whatever. Just that's all I care about. I just want to have a good time and drive. I love driving. So my wife and I have been talking a while about getting a really nice, like a nice SUV, like a Yukon or something really big.
Right.
It's just like, oh, this feels so good. You don't feel like you drove. It's got like, maybe heated seats or something, just something really cool like that. But, we just kept talking about it, never did it. So we're driving
for
all your stuff, like there's buttons for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we prepared to go to Wisconsin. Just no real reason, just because I knew it was cool and I wanted to show my wife Lake Geneva, and I wanted to take a picture from the Dungeon Hobby Shop, as some people saw. My Dungeon Hobby Shop picture last week was Zach. Zach outed me on that one. So anyway, I can't believe I didn't mention the story last week. So we started running up there, and we started hearing a noise knocking at the car about Oklahoma City. So we went to a Kia dealership. They looked at it, fixed it, wasn't anything wrong. And we started looking, and we said, "Hey, what's that over there?" Oh, that's a what car is that? I don't know. Telluride. That's a Telluride. Oh, it's this big giant ass Kia. Did a test drive. Next thing we know, we're trading in the car for the Telluride. Take all our stuff to the Telluride. And it was just the most impulsive, insane, crazy thing I've ever done. I mean, I've never even thought about doing something like that. But the price was right. They gave us an insane amount of money. They gave us this. Okay, so this car we were driving had 68,000 miles on it. It was a Kia. It was like 3 years old. They gave us what we paid for the car. So they gave us. That's how much they need used cars right now. Used cars are gold. They're like gold bars. I mean, they're just crazy. So they gave us that for a trade-in, which is insane. And so, yeah. So then we're heading up to Wisconsin with this kick-ass car that's got heated seats, cool seats. It's got this control panel like the Enterprise. It's got more buttons than the Enterprise had in the original series. Okay, there's all this. It does everything. Everything's voice. And the thing was, it was for a couple who ended up not taking it. They special ordered it. It's got all the bells and whistles, which is something my wife and I never get. We don't get all the bells and whistles because we're like, no, we wanted to save money. This has everything on it. So the reason I'm telling you this story, my favorite Bill Cosbyism is Bill Cosby would tell you stories so he could tell you another story. So a lot of Bill Cosby was, I just told you that story so I could tell you this story. So the reason I told you that story is now that we have this car, I can drive places comfortably without having to rent a car. It's our car. So, and I drive like 5 minutes to work every day. So we're not going to put any miles in the car except for trips. This is our trip car. So any convention within about a 2-day drive, I was thinking I might hit Chaosium Con next year.
Really?
It's in Michigan. It's a 2-day drive. I looked at it. It's about as far as going to Gamehole Con. I talked to Alex when I was in Wisconsin. I may go to Gamehole this year. I had not decided not to go to Gamehole, and I may decide back. You decide to go.
Hotels are a pain for Gamehole this year because there's some college sporting event going on the same weekend.
What happened was there's a Badger home game that weekend. Hotel rooms are $450 to $500 a night.
Yeah.
And last year they weren't that because I was thinking about getting a room last year, and I ended up going with Frog God. That is the only thing keeping me is the hotel rooms. However, when we went up this year, we stayed way off in Middleton. It's like 15 minutes to the convention center. Well, I looked up prices in hotels in Middleton, $120. They're not bad. It's just the hotels downtown where the game's going to be that are crazy price. If you go 15 minutes any direction, you're okay. I don't mind staying in Middleton. Middleton's real close to the to Alex's bar. It's like right across the street of it. But it's in the suburbs. Like I said, it's not on site, so you have to drive a little ways. But I don't care. I'll drive 15 minutes to save, a couple of $1,000s or whatever crazy amount that is. Or I'll just end up sleeping in the hallways of the hotel.
Well, yeah, that's how Gen Con was back in the 90s. Tammy, there's a pub downstairs in your hotel. All right. I had no idea when I chose it. I knew there was a restaurant that was open for like 4 hours a day, but I guess that's when the pub serves food. Oh, so interesting. So I won't have to walk very far to go from gaming to the pub, back to my room, and sleep it off.
So the only problem with SharkCon is a little out of my driving range. Like I said, 2 days is probably which would be about 16 hours. That's about my limit. SharkCon, unfortunately, I did check it. I checked TotalCon. That's a little out of my distance, unfortunately. So I would still have to fly there, and I have to pick a year when it's okay to decide that's, you know what, I'll go ahead and fly there. Or a day when I might want to take a 3-day drive. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't mind driving 3 days. This car is so nice. I'll drive 3 days.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like with our Subaru. I mean, when we last year, because SharkCon, we didn't go because our prior Subaru was having muffler issues.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wait a second. We went, and it was like, oh, well, you're looking at like December, January. I'm like, all right, well, we need a car. You know, it's the best they could do. And I was like, and I had some I wanted certain options. You know, the heated seats, the zone control for the AC.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, those heated seats, yeah.
Heated seats are great for my sciatica.
Yeah.
I wanted to, you know, a few other bells and whistles. So it's like, all right, we had no choice. Then I was like, oh, jeez. And lo and behold, we get a phone call less than a week later from our sales rep. He's like, you know the floor model you were looking at? I'm like, yeah. The one that was sold? I'm like, yeah. It fell through. Are you still interested?
Nice.
I was like, yeah, I can be there on Monday signing paperwork. What do you need? And I had to wait a week to pick it up because they had to install some of the bells and whistles on it. But man, it was and the trading value on our 6-year-old Subaru was still $10,000.
It's crazy now. Trading value is insane now on cars. Apparently they have a waiting list, because we asked him about our old Kia. He said we got a waiting list of people. I mean, it's just, you know, nobody wants to buy a new car anymore. We didn't really want to buy a new car. We just thought it was just kind of this cool thing that fell right into our laps. By the way, I looked. So where SharkCon is a 25-hour drive, which is about 3 9-hour.
25-hour drive. Holy
25 hours for me. So I could do that. That's a tough one. That would be a 3-day drive, because I don't drive more than 8 hours a day.
Wow.
But I'll think about it. I'm getting old. I got nothing to do. I may jump in the car. The weather'd still be nice then. It'd be September. It'd be nice. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it is funny though, because when you have a car that drives real well, it drives very smoothly, trips don't feel like a trip.
They don't, and that they don't at all. And that's the last few years. Zach and I have rented a very nice car, typically to go to Gamehole Con and Gary Con, usually a Yukon or an Explorer or something. And the nicer the car is, it just makes you don't get tired driving, and you just feel like, wow, that was really amazing. And that helps a lot with your trips, because there's nothing. And we've all done this. I remember going to South Padron for spring break in a crappy ass car, and it just beats you down. It's like a 9-hour drive from here. God, by the time you're through, you just feel like you just got just thrown out in a soccer field, kicked to death. It's just a beating. But the nicer car you have, oh my gosh, it makes the trip seem just wonderful. Especially you got all the bells and whistles. You can make calls from your car now. It makes that really easy. We have satellite radio. I got my satellite radio.
XM Sirius satellite radio.
Oh yeah, oh baby, yeah. And with the new car, there was a free 3 or 4 month XM Sirius. So I canceled mine, and we're gonna get free Sirius for I don't know how many months. And yeah, it was a crazy thing. I don't usually do things like that, and but we decided to do it, and now I'm looking for cons. Like I said, within a 2-day drive, I'm there. I'm gonna look at Chaosium Con next year, because I heard some really good stuff about that this year. I did the distance. It's about 2 days, so we'll see about that. It's just Michigan. Instead of going to Wisconsin, you just do another little turn to Michigan.
Yeah,
it's tip of Michigan.
It's going. When is it? What in the year is it?
I believe it's February or March.
All right, so you have the same issues like going to GaryCon.
It's
got to
oh no,
really.
I'm sorry. No, it's in April, which is great.
Oh, and
That's
you'll be
perfect.
on.
Ann Arbor, Michigan in April. That's wonderful. That's the weather should be beautiful right there. I'm hoping.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about, oh shit, am I having to dodge blizzards?
Yeah, yeah, because we've had to do that for Gary Con before, which has been awful. It's a 17-hour drive from where I'm at, so that's an 8-hour day and a 9-hour day. I'm or 2 9-hour days. I can do that. I can handle that.
Rob, I'm not sure what
I'll
states are
take that.
25 hours drive apart, but way too fucking many of them apparently.
Yeah, it's the thing about Texas is we're kind of in the middle northern part of Texas. It's good because everything's kind of equidistant in the United States. But if you're West Coast or East Coast, you're screwed, right? You just can't drive
Yeah,
to. I mean, you can't drive to Gary Con or Gamehole Con. That'd be an epic adventure.
that's at least a 2-day trip, and
And if it was on the West Coast, forget about it. There's just no way.
yeah, no. Listen, ShireCon I can drive to, TotalCon I can drive to. That's about 4.5 hours. That's
Yeah,
nothing.
it's all the East Coast stuff you're fine with. Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be like Rob. Rob coming from Western PA, he has like an 8 9 hour drive ahead of him because Pennsylvania is a wide state.
It's it's really long there. Yep. Now, one thing, so I was in Wisconsin, but I missed VentureCon because it started the day I left, and so
Good, Mike. No donut.
despite my entreaties, my wife said, "Nope, we can't make VentureCon." And I said, "Can we at least go for the opening invocation?" And she said, "No." She said she was very adamant that no was the answer to every question I gave. I don't think I was that convincing, though. I don't think I was really pushing it. I was really selling it.
You should have pushed it harder, Michael. Harder.
So we had VentureCon last week, and there's been a lot of discussion on your page on Tenkar's Tavern
Yeah, and
about
before you go any further on that one, I'm just going to throw a quick little comment for folks.
this is us getting back to gaming, folks. Thank you for
Yeah.
letting us talk about our vacations.
Okay, so my attitude when it comes to the tavern on Facebook, the Tenkar's Tavern Facebook group, is generally, listen, if you can, I don't care whether you are political in your online persona or apolitical, or if you lean left, or if you lean right, or if you fall far to the left or fall far to the right. I don't care so long as you can have discussions in the tavern that avoid politics. Now, for the most part, and there are times, for the most part, I find that Wenger is self-censoring. He knows there are certain posts that he might have on his blog that he won't share at the tavern because he knows, oh, this is just gonna this is political. I respect Tenkar. I'm not going to put it up. There are some that are on the line that sometimes I will look at and say, I know the community, it's a bag of shit. And since I'm really the only one that actively moderates it, and it's nearly 3,000 people now, sorry, sir, I'm going to have to decline it. But I prefer to let the vast majority go through. But even the ones from Wenger that aren't necessarily political get the haters. I don't want to call them stalkers, although there are a few. I've told them you're basically equivalent of stalking.
Yeah.
Time out. And thankfully, Facebook now allows you to do more than just ban somebody.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give a week off, 3 days off, month off, whatever.
Right. And I take no pleasure in doing any of that. So today, the post in question that you're going to refer to, I turned off commenting it finally.
Because, I didn't see you turn it off yet.
Oh yeah, because I was out today with Rach. We were doing stuff. We did a river walk. Found the new dog runs that they built in town, which we didn't even know about because of COVID. We hadn't done this walk in like 2 years, so we were really distracted. And I come back and I get back to the house, look at my phone. I'm like, 4 reported posts. I go, oh Jesus!
Oh boy, yeah.
They're all on Wenger's. I hear Rachel background going, oh shit! But they were all on Wenger's, and it was people defending him that we hadn't reported, and it was people basically attacking him that were getting reported. So at least it was going both ways. At least it wasn't just one side going yeah 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 yeah. But the reality is, was I surprised? No. Was V surprised? I doubt it. I doubt it. He knows he's going to get attention because he likes to be put in the position to garner attention. It's part of his strategy. So when I say strategy, it's his marketing. That's just if he wants attention, good, bad, or indifferent. If you're getting it, he's probably selling books.
It doesn't hurt. This doesn't hurt him at all.
No.
He's gleeful when you attack him because that's his marketing strategy. That's always been his marketing strategy. Is he wants to be the bad boy of gaming? He's Zach Smith light basically. He wants to be the bad boy in gaming, and so he loves it. He loves he loves getting attacked. So I've never understood it. It reminds me of the same people. I'm not being political here. I'm just going to throw this statement out. A lot of people were upset that the media made Trump into a 24/7 news cycle when he's running for president because their opinion was, well, he's on TV all the time, and some people were like, oh yeah, because we got to tell you what's bad about him. That's exactly what he wanted. He wanted the 24/7 news cycle, and I think I personally think it worked for him great because a lot of people who had never heard of the dude suddenly he's on TV every single day. Oh, here's what he did wrong, or here's what that jerk did today, and some people just love that's their marketing strategy. It's like Jerry Jones the Cowboy says all the time. I don't care if you love us. I don't care if you hate us. I just want you to talk about us. And that's he's made a whole marketing strategy. He has the most valuable sports franchise in the world. And that's why, and that's how, because he just makes it about, it's about talking about us. We don't care if you like us or hate us. And I think Venger has a lot of the same DNA there. I think he just wants you to talk about him. Right. Because you might get curious, maybe curious and go to and check out what Chalt is or
right. Well, what's his brand? Chalt, and you don't hear about it as much anymore. His science fiction, his campy what he's go sci-fi
something I can't remember.
I can't remember. But I mean that's people him when you hate him, and I'm going to tell you my personal opinion about Venger, though I've met him in person. He's very personable. But his fantasy stuff, if you take out some of, if you look at his early stuff before it was branded with the Chalt setting stuff, which we'll get into a little bit about the rituals. Before it was his early stuff was, in my opinion, some of the finest third-party independent press in the OSR. Really usable. Pull it off your shelf. Read it and run with it, and it worked, and it was great. Now he's more into the branding of Chalt, which is fine. It's not my cup of tea as a setting, but it's I would say it's well written, just not for me. So,
well, I'm gonna. So he was on your. I think it's very telling he went on Tenkar's Tavern because that's. It's a big spot where people talk about gaming. Your Facebook page has become a huge, spot where people hash stuff out. So he's not stupid. He came on there and posted a little video, which the video was really dumb. It just consisted of talking to somebody.
What was it? Like 40 seconds long or something like that?
It's like 40 seconds long. It's like, hey, well, what did you think about VentureCon? Oh, it was nice to be at a gaming con where people actually play games. And I wrote, every con I've ever been to, people play games. I don't get it. I don't know what they think people do at other cons, but it was just that, and then that spawned like over 100 comments. People, going ape shit crazy. And so I'm going to have to defend. I'm going to defend old Venger here for a second because, one of the things people were taking him to task for is this con only had apparently 26 people. Now we know from last year he said he was only going to have 100 people, right? He capped it at 100.
If you looked at the was it the tabletop events registration page, I think he maxed at 100. And
right,
it's your first con. TSR Con, which by the way claimed they had an attendance initially of 100 to a couple of hundred to
more. Didn't they say they had more than Gary Con, like 2,000?
Yeah. But
I've seen the Dungeon Hobby Shop. No, you can't.
They
fit more than
had less than 20 people registered for games. I mean, honestly, we saw that work going right up to it, and they were trying to piggyback off Gary Con.
right.
V was running a convention in Madison, actually during a good season to run stuff in Madison because the weather is not atrociously cold and snowy.
Beautiful there, and the good thing is the school's out, so nothing's really crowded. We had no problem getting into anything. We were there that week, so but yeah, it's a great time. But you get really good discounts on hotel rooms, and you get some pretty good discounts, I think, on rooms, convention rooms. So yeah, it's
Right.
not a bad time.
So I mean, he got over 24 people to show up. So now, is that a success or is that a failure? If you go by the way V was hyping it, then people are going to go, well, he only got 24 people. It's a failure. If you go by the fact that it's a first con in the OSR, and by the way, this is with the first pure OSR con. Marketing hype is marketing hype. I'm not even going to go there. But the idea that a first con he only brought in 26 people. That was 26 people over the course of 3 days, where you were there for all 3 days. By the way, as opposed to TSR Con, where there was single day signups. Oh my god!
Well, it's people that, and I am almost positive TSR Con kind of people just stopped in and said hi. You know, hey, what's up? Well, where's Gary? Let me say hi to Gary, because there was a lot of Gary's old friends like Elmore and Easley and Flint Dilly that just came in and said hi to him. I don't think they stayed very long, but I'm sure they counted them as people that attended the con. Oh, these people attended the con.
Tabletop Tom says he spoke with Ernie, and he believes that Ernie said they had 80 people at TSR Con.
Maybe after over 4 days, maybe.
Over the course of the full weekend, I don't see that as impossible. But you're holding the con at a game store with another convention which has thousands of people there who might be interested enough to check out the place. So I don't.
That tells you a lot about the fact they couldn't have the con on their own. Because remember that the original dates for TSR Con were July 4th weekend.
Yes.
But they would have got anybody, because believe me, we were. I took a picture from Dungeon Hobby Shop the week after July 4th weekend, or 2 weeks after, and there was nobody. There was 3 cars in the parking lot. I mean, the town's just dead. The college is out. The college is out.
Well, but
it's just dead.
The town is dead, but July 4th weekend is going to be a holiday weekend where there'll be.
Oh, they couldn't have gotten parking. No, the parking was bad enough, Eric.
But here's you're not going to get any. You're not going to get hotel rooms on July 4th.
No, and you could not have gotten park. Okay, so traditionally Lake Geneva is a resort town. And if you look at the history of Lake Geneva, Chicago gangsters used to drive up in the 20s and hang out the lake because it got really hot in Chicago. And the rich people would drive up from Chicago for the summer, and they would stay in Lake Geneva and these little cottages around the lake. So it's still that big. We drove around, my wife and I. It was packed. Lake Geneva was packed. There was no parking downtown. Full. I mean, bumper to bumper traffic. Because I was showing her like where the Horticultural Hall was, where the old TSR headquarters were. It was packed. Now, Dungeon Hobby Shop is not on the main drag. It's a little off it. It was still. It would have been really hard to find enough people parking there to put people in convention, because it's just it's so full. It's so full there, the whole town. And there's no hotels. There's no nothing there. And it's not close to anything either. I mean, you know that, Eric, because we've been there. It's not close to anywhere else. If you cannot stay in Lake Geneva, there's nowhere to stay. You got to stay.
You're screwed. You are literally screwed, because you are in the middle of nowhere. You are
it's the boonies.
You are an hour and a half minimum to.
But I saw people. So anyway, I was going to say I saw people in that discussion who were giving Venger a hard time because he only had 26 people as con, and that's not. I don't think that's something to make fun of Venger for, because North Texas, we only had 55 people our first year. And we had special guests. We had Tim Kask and Frank Menzer and Rob Kuntz and Paul Jaquays and Dennis Astaire. We still only had 55 people. So 26 is not horrible for a first convention. And unless he promised he was going to have 100, which I don't think he promised that.
I don't believe he promised it.
No, I think that people lose a little. They're so eager just to hammer on V that they pick something like that to hammer him on, and that's not what you hammer him on. If you're going to hammer him on other things like I don't know if he did his dumb invocations, but that would be something stupid that you could hammer him on because he made his anti-woke invocations against the woke people or whatever it was. That's just dumb.
I mean, listen. All honesty, V invited me to the con. He invited me as a special guest. My admission would have been con, but he couldn't afford to give me a hotel room. I understood that. But again, as folks might have noticed, my summers are pretty busy. Getting away for a couple of days up to the Poconos once a month is pretty much my max. And if I get away this summer, the goal is to get up to Buffalo and hang out with the Emperor's Choice guys. So it was like, So again, in my case, being able to go also means finding somebody to watch my cat and my dog if it isn't coming up here. Those things kind of cripple your ability to go away on more than once, maybe to a location like that. So it wasn't going to work. Now, summers are not necessarily. There's a reason why you don't see too many conventions in the summertime because people have so many other events going on usually. I know there are some in New Jersey. Oh God, I forget which it was. It was always July 4th weekend. I was like, I can never go to a July 4th convention. There's always too much stuff going on. Mark Hunt, think of all the publishers that are not mentioned in this chat. Yes, he may make a sale from us tonight. I'm not saying that it's impossible. And again, my opinion, if you're going to buy anything from Wenger, go for his older stuff. By the way, Alpha Blue is the name I couldn't think of.
That was it. Yeah. Alpha, I don't know, Blue something.
I don't particularly care for the Alpha Blue stuff, but go for his earlier OSR stuff before he started labeling it 05R, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
His earlier stuff is very usable, well worth the price. It's good. So I mean,
But anyway, if you're gonna hammer V, I would leave that out. That's nitpicky, and it makes honestly I think it makes the people look bad when they you only had 26 people. That had to be terrible. There's lots of game get-togethers that only have 20 people, 25, 30. That doesn't make them a bad game. That's not the criteria for whether or not you had a good con or not.
No,
you know what I'm saying that it's just not, and that's so I don't fault him for that. Hey, 26, that's great. That's whatever. That your first con, that's great. If you want to fault him for other stuff, that's great. I just think that's the wrong thing to pick on him about. And he's one of those polarizing features that people just have to find something to give him a hard time about. And so I think that jumped on that because we had 26 people. That's terrible. There's better things to hammer V about. I think that's really is nitpicky the word. That's really nitpicky. That's just really
nitpicky. And listen, Mark Hunt, if they cover the cost of the con, it's a win. Well, in that case, TSR Con was a win with no attendees.
I think Mark's right. Yeah. If you did what you set out to do, there was a con in the West Coast for years, and I can't remember the name of it. And it was run by a bunch of old school guys, and they would rent an apartment, like apartments have these party rooms, whatever you call them, the rooms you can rent. And so somebody was in an apartment there, and they would rent out the apartment, party room. I don't know what you call it. And so they would have about 16 to 25 people every year. And I don't think they ever said that wasn't a success. That's pretty much what they were happy to get. They could run 3 or 4 games, and they did it over the course of a weekend. They had a great time. So, I mean, there would be no point in laughing at them and going, oh, man, you only had like 20, 25 people every year. So they did what they wanted to do, which is just have a bunch of guys come on in from all over California and play old school games. And sometimes people would fly in from other states even,
Tabletop Taproom Tom. I dumped on V for stating the tavern was so toxic as I thought it was rather ironic. But here's the thing. The tavern is not toxic, but it responds to, and when I say it, there is a small group within the tavern that will very outwardly, very energetically respond to Wenger when he shares something that gives him any excuse to mock him. And do I agree with it? No. Do I allow V to be a member of the community and share a post there? Yes. but he expects the pushback. That
Right.
is,
It's
if he
part of the
didn't
plan,
expect,
folks.
yeah.
It's part of the plan.
So, and he enjoys it to some extent because you know what? If four people attack him, not violently, but like aggressively attack him, right? And they make some comments. Some of them are often outlandish. Some of them literally are people who are very. It's Wenger. I'm going to go for the throat. But you know what?
Mhm.
When that happens, they're probably generating one or two sales for him. For people to
Yeah.
go, I can't believe they're treating him like this. He did nothing to deserve it. Again, he
It's
may
part of
have
being a
done something.
victim. Oh no, V's a victim. Oh no, go
He
buy my
may have
stuff.
done something to deserve it
Uh,
another time, but he didn't deserve it at that time. So if if, if you don't want to play into it, simply don't play into it.
yeah, don't fall. It's the same. Look, Lanasa does this a little bit too. He secretly in his dark heart of dark hearts loves it when we talk about him, and we kind of know this. We've talked to people behind the scenes, and we have a show not about him. He gets irritated when we're not talking about him, and then he has to go off and pout and stomp his feet and do something so he can get back in the news because he's kind of the same. He's got kind of the same DNA where,
Well,
hey, you're not talking
yeah,
about me, man.
it's listen. I'll be honest with you. That comes down to, and it isn't even Justin right now. It's
Yeah.
Michael Yak, Southern 99
Oh
Gin.
God, yeah.
So because and he knows that nobody goes to the TSR Discord server. Nobody goes, and those that do go are taking screenshots for me and others
Hmm.
because it's a ghost town. So he has to make comments about Tenkar. So Tenkar, why don't you have any kids? Are you shooting blanks or is your wife barren? And I
What the
wanted to go.
hell? Why is that
My,
important?
my son's 29. He was 18 when he was the best man at our wedding. I already raised the kid, and you want to respond in kind because Michael's whole history is out on it's out there on Facebook. I know his trials and tribulations with his family and his ability to see his daughter. So why do you poke? Why? Because he needs that acknowledgement. Because otherwise, he won't be known. He's a non-entity. And what I
Yeah.
love about him and Justin is they have one thing in common. Justin is a Pennsylvanian who moved down to North Carolina and has put on a fake Southern accent. Darlene, I don't mean you no harm, Darlene. He
Hmm.
puts on a fake Southern accent.
Right.
Well, Yak is from Wisconsin. Southern 99 gin with the Confederate flag on
Oh
his
boy. Yeah.
profile and was it Robert E. Lee as his profile picture. Um, is not a Southerner. He's not a good old boy. He's a Wisconsin or I don't even know what they call people from
Yeah.
Wisconsin. So they're carpetbaggers. They're fake, but they need recognition. The only way they can get recognition, even with Justin TSR Con has to be Gary Con weekend. Why?
Yeah.
Because the only way people are going to show up. Oh, by the
Yeah.
way,
Oh yeah.
my understanding is it won't be a TSR Con 2. It's going to be called free for all gaming or something like that. Uh, Horticultural Hall, same weekend as Gary Con. I don't believe Horticultural Hall is really heated very well, so that's going to be
No,
an
it's pretty
interesting.
small. It's maybe a couple hundred people. It's
Yeah.
not very big at all. We drove
So
by there again.
you know, again, piggybacking. So and we're going to step into this a little bit because that means that Ernie, who's obviously associated with TSR, executive vice president, according to a press release in the beginning, um, is still doing what he can to mess with his siblings and the
Yeah.
regular Gary Con. So, uh, if he has ever had an anti woke brand, I'm not interested in any of his stuff. There are too many games out there to waste money supporting d-bags.
Hmm.
You know what? Again, I'm not judging people by their politics. If you judge people by their quality, Wenger had some earlier work that I really respected. His later stuff, it's not saying it's not quality, it's just not something that I enjoy. TSR, which is extremely anti woke, has produced Jack and Shit. Oh, by the way, Mike, I don't. I'm hearing that, and this is what I'm hearing is that the initial print run of 100 Dungeon Crawl board games is sold out,
Mm-hmm.
but
Sure. Yeah.
the pre-orders never went out because
Not a single one. No.
no.
Mm-mm.
So if you pre-ordered that game, going to be coming on 6 months ago, I don't know what your time
He
limit
has
is.
no intention of ever delivering those games. It's just the same as he has no intention of ever shipping one of Vince's modules.
Yeah,
Calls my bad. There's no point doing it. Look, he sold those to people who are true believers. He could tell them anything, and they're not going to cancel. They're just going to say, well, I guess he just gets my money.
yeah.
This is
I'm
he
hoping
just he
because
basically stole your if you bought those, you stole your money. So just if that's if you're cool with that with supporting him, that's cool. But those are never shipping. Those are not going to ever ship.
no.
And they're going to be sold another. So basically, what he does is what's kind of cool. He gets a double fee on them. He gets to resell them at the store level, but he already
Right.
got your money for the pre-orders. So
Right.
yeah. Those are not going to those are never going to ship.
Supposedly,
I'm sorry,
there's
Eric.
no-
You're not
okay.
going to get your copy, Eric. I'm sorry.
No. Well, I got a copy otherwise through other ways. So now I got to get that stuff mailed out. But it would choose a con is a con and it promotes the hobby. I hate the phrasing of that. A convention is a convention because you know what else it is? You should know this because you are in law enforcement. A con is a con. All right. We're already talking about what could potentially be a con. And there might not be many people pushing back against it because they are true believers.
Right.
They want to believe that. Oh well, that I guess we're getting a second printing, which hasn't been printed. So,
Yeah, those are, and this might all be finished before he decides to even do any extra printings of that stuff. So what happened was he did an initial print run. He didn't ship it to any pre-orders. He probably kept them all. They're in a back room there, and they're just going to be sold at the store if anybody buys in the store or whatever to people. But
the Spice guy was selling them at like conventions and street fairs.
And I'm not even 100% sure he was selling them. I mean, look, I'd love to see the receipt on that. I could hand you anything, Eric. I could hand you this and say, "Hey, Eric, hold this up," and you go,
Take a
"Sure."
picture.
I sold a copy of Rapid Ethic, and I could do that to 10 people, and that's how do I know? How do we know they didn't do that? We don't know that they didn't do that because first of all, people look. I've been to conventions like that. People don't run up and buy games they've never heard of just because some guy, hey, you want to spend $30 or $40 on a game? No, they don't. So I really doubt they sold any of those. I'd be shocked. I think those are just stage photo things. So
yeah, Tammy Cheeseheads for Wisconsin. But I wonder if there's New Yorkers. There's Pennsylvanians.
Oh, can I say something real quick, Eric? It's something uncomfortable because I feel uncomfortable about it now. I did dead name Janelle earlier when I called her earlier name. I did that on purpose. I didn't mean to, and somebody called me on it, and I appreciate you calling me on it. But the reason I did that was when I talk about Janelle before Janelle was Janelle, I usually just say Jaquays, and I do not use the first name. And I inadvertently said the first name, and I apologize for that. Janelle is a very close friend of mine, and has been with the con since the first con. As a matter of fact, she is in the North Texas RPG Con Hall of Fame as she got inducted this year for going above and beyond the Call of Duty. So I do feel bad about that. I usually don't use her former name. I usually just say, because I feel like I don't like to say Janelle Jaquays wrote Dark Tower because it's just weird for me to say that.
You're not going to find that name.
No. And I've had people when I have done that before said, "Oh, was that the sister?" Like, no. And so you have to tell. So I usually just say Jaquays. So Jaquays wrote Dark Tower. Jaquays wrote Caverns of Thracia. Jaquays wrote Book of Treasure Maps. And then Janelle is the one who did all our logos. And Janelle did, has been to our con as a special guest. But I apologize for that. I should have just said Jaquays, and I got caught up in rambling. So thanks for whoever called me on that. Didn't mean to do that, but Janelle's a very good friend. Saw her this year. She's at the con. Lives pretty close to me. So
Really?
we're Janelle and I are cool. Yeah, not very far about where Gary lives. So about an hour away from me. So we're good friends, and she's done a ton for our con. She did our logos for 8 years, which is for free, which is outrageous. It's amazing, and she's just contributed a lot of ways. Matter of fact, she donated this year. She was in her garage and found a unopened pallet of these, the original Heroes of Tomorrow, all shrinked and wrapped up. There was a group of 5 of them, so we busted them open and she signed them. So
nice.
These are going to be auctioned to help out the North Texas RPG Con. So yeah, we're tight with So sorry about that. We can move on. I just wanted to say that. I just slipped up and should have said that. So
all right. So Tammy has said she actually looked it up, and they're Wisconsinites. Okay.
That sounds right. Wisconsin.
Yeah, it doesn't sound awkward. I mean, you could call them cheeseheads. I'm sure they wouldn't be upset with it, but it's not quite the same thing.
Mm-hmm. By the way, we did end up with 3 cases of New Glarus beer. We loaded our giant new car. I might have to break out a bottle tonight. This whiskey's not doing too much, so I may break out. But yeah, about three cases, and we got a bunch of really good Wisconsin cheese day before we came back too. So, thank goodness for Wisconsin for cheese and beer. Those 2 things. And I'm not a big beer drinker. What do you got there? Light and sexy.
Light Sky. It is Blue Moon's light beer offering. I'm gonna sound.
Is there actually first of all, is there any alcohol in that?
Yes, there is alcohol in it. There's 3.6.
I gotta ask because they're sometimes
95 calories. Never tasted so important, and it's 4 point something alcohol by volume. This is this is one of the best light beers I've had. You don't feel like you're drinking a light beer. Now, if you don't like a wheat beer with a tangerine flavor, if you don't like the original Blue Moon, you're not going to like this. Blue Moon.
I feel bad because at this point, I was never a huge beer drinker growing up. I'm much more of the whiskey, Scotch, but I don't really like a lot of beers that aren't light beers. Now, New Glarus beer, they have some brands that I really like because we went to the tasting at the brewery. It was really good. But I am not a Guinness or stout guy. I don't like the heavy beers. Awful. So I have been drifting down the old man path of light beers. I've been drinking some Michelob Ultras, which you see me drink on the show before, Coors Light, because that's all I can handle right now, really.
Here, if you're going to do Mich Ultra, if you want it with a bit more flavor, you got to go to the Mich Ultra organic or whatever they may have changed it from organic, but it has a bit more flavor than the Mich Ultra. Although Mich Ultra on tap at North Texas was delicious, I got to say it tasted better. Marcelo wants to know: will Janelle be at North Texas Con?
I just answered. Yes, she will be invited. She's in the Hall of Fame now, man. We got invited every year. She's got to get invited now, but she's close by. The only year that she and Rebecca didn't come was 2 years ago, 2020, when we had COVID. She actually came last year. She came 2021. She came this year, 2022. So, and then she didn't come the years that she was in Seattle. She and Rebecca moved to Seattle, West Coast, for about 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So she came to our first con through about our 8th con, I want to say, and then she skipped a few years, and she was back in 2021. So she's back this year. So she the funny story about that is, she and Rebecca were on vacation in Texas for, I think, or she has a son and a daughter, and they both live in the area. I think they still live in Texas. And then they went by Janelle's old house. It was for sale. They bought Janelle's old house. So they live in
they
live in the same house she used to live in. And so, because it's cheap, houses are cheap in Texas, and they had West Coast money, man. So, they were doing all right. But yeah, so they live pretty close by. And we invite them every year, and hopefully they'll be by this year. For those who don't know, Janelle's married to Rebecca Heineman. And if you don't know who Rebecca Heineman is, I didn't know a thing about Rebecca Heineman until I read her Wikipedia page, and I was like, holy shit. She's she's more famous probably in her profession than Janelle is in her profession. That's because she is one of the founding people in role playing games. I'm sorry, in video games, and just has an amazing history in that. So yeah,
Wow.
we invite them every year, and we will hope they will be back next year. I guess unless they're out of town or something, they will be. Which reminds me, I need to get our special guest list together and start rolling through that. I've got that down. I was kind of waiting. It's still July, so there's no need for expediency. I might wait till December to finally finish that up.
Yeah. Play with it. Good black and tan is always good, by the way. On tap. You make your own at home. It's not the same. Good black and tan on tap, though. Almost caught up. No, it's not a hunting dog. Black. I have to explain what a black and tan is. And honestly, I didn't know until I started hitting like Irish pubs, and it's like, what do you know here? You want a black and tan? I'm like, okay. And it's like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Especially with a nice stout. Well, almost caught up. Yes, Guinness and a Harp or Bass. My local pub used to have Harp on tap. No longer do. Actually,
this is my favorite New Glarus variety, totally naked.
And thank God you're not totally naked, Mike. We appreciate it.
So it's seasonal, which is great because we usually go up there in the spring or fall. This is a summer beer, and I had never tried it before. And I tried it. I was like, "Holy crap, this is good!" Oh crap!
You need a bottle opener. Yeah, I had to improvise opening a bottle at North Texas somebody, and I want to break my nails.
Crisp and tasty and light, not really heavy. Enjoy it. Good stuff. Got a whole fridge full, man. Should last me all summer. Any progress on Tankards?
What's up?
Tankards? Any progress on Tankards? You mean the T-shirts or the?
All right. Oh, all right. So, there's progress, not necessarily good progress. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, as Rich and I were leaving dinner, I get these email notifications, and Cafe Press has decided that it might be infringing on copyright. So now I got to reach out to them and explain that it's parody being sold at no profit. However, my first printer never had any issue with it because they don't sell as a platform. They only sell directly to you or through another platform that you set up. So at worst, that means that I will, well, first off, the V-necks only came in a maximum size of 2X, so I'm going to have to see what the regular crew necks come in, because I know gamers like their 4X and 5X. I've seen a few. I will see what can be done. In any case, I'm going to have shirts come into ShireCon, and I'll likely need to figure that out in the next couple of weeks, so I can do impromptu, orders and just say, all right, how many V-types do I want or do I need? Bring them to ShireCon, and you guys pay me cost. If there's no profit involved in this, Foogly, who popped into the chat earlier, I might still be here, donated the work. The shirt that I had printed looks amazing. Now,
I want one.
I know you do, Mike.
Size extra fat.
It might also be that if I print the shirt single-sided with just the adventure on the back and not the full art in the front, it might not be seen. It might be more transformative. I think it looks amazing with the two sides, but now I know Redbubble will do single-sided. It's confusing, but we're going to get
a local printer will do that. They won't care about the minions on there.
No, they don't. They'll be happy.
But then you'd have to take orders personally, and you have to. Yeah, that's a little tough.
And here's the thing: if I'm gonna do this, not shipping, because shipping is a pain in the ass, and it's shipped to me, then I got to reship it. So I'd rather just deliver it at a convention I'm going to go to. ShireCon will be the next one. So we'll do that. Then I don't know, North Texas. We'll see. But at least with North Texas, if I knew how many that the orders were, I could just have them sent to Mike's warehouse.
Yeah, that work out.
But again, Nothing is going to be, this artwork, anything we do with this artwork is going to be at cost. It was donated to me for the community. I'm not making money off it. Now, when I put out the Continual Light artwork, the cover that James Shields did, that I'm going to be happy to do as a profit on that. And that one I need to do a shirt on. So that's coming up. Haven't gotten there yet. So lot of balls in the air, folks.
Wow, it sounds like you got all kinds of stuff going on there. Definitely.
Yeah. And and I guess in about 2 weeks I'll be kicking off the first what do you call it? The first Thursday night Tenkar's Tavern game night. Where I don't know what we're going to officially call it.
That sounds fun.
One Thursday night a month. I think it's going to be the second Thursday of the month. I'm going to be running a 3-hour game session instead of hosting the Discord chat. And if there's enough of an interest, I'll also do the same one Saturday afternoon from 12 to 3 Eastern. And this way I get to play test adventures that are being written. Like the one I want to play test now is the one I'm going to run for ShireCon, the Tenkar's Minions. So it should be fun. Which means that people like, Joe the Lawyer cannot participate in one of these online sessions. Yeah. Otherwise, he'll cheat. He'll cheat, damn it. He'll cheat.
He's that cheater. He's the cheater, isn't he? That's true.
Although I dropped off his original Fugly artwork a week ago Saturday when we got together with Professor DM and
okay.
Bill Block.
Nice.
Down in Manhattan. So that was nice. And Rob's I will drop off at ShireCon. Now, Rob's I actually deframed because I was like, I'm going to have to ship it. I can't ship it with a frame that could crack in shipping. And now Rob's coming out to fucking ShireCon, so now I get to hand it to him in person. Mm-hmm. So I might have to buy an inexpensive frame to replace the frame that Fugly initially supplied. Good night, Fug. Anyone attending Gen Con this year?
Oh, dear.
Not
since 2009 or whatever. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not getting into the big gangbangs anymore. I don't want to catch COVID. I don't want to get con crud, and I don't really care. Those big cons are all about I almost said cross-dressing, but not. I meant that's not what I meant. I did not mean that. I meant big cons about cosplay. They're about cosplay and all kinds of other stuff. They're not really about. You're going to have so much more fun at a smaller convention. So much more fun. I mean, you're going to be able to talk to people. You're not going to have crowds. It's going to be less expensive. In almost 99 out of 100 cases, you're going to have a better time at smaller cons. Support your smaller local cons. That's really what you need to do.
I mean, if you're on the East Coast, and I say Northeast, ShireCon in September, 1-day con, amazing. Tom runs a great show. And TotalCon is in February. Another great con that's local for us. If you're willing to travel, and I'm going to be biased here, I'm going to say if you can only go to one con that you can travel to, North Texas RPG Con, by far.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I don't like to agree with you, but I'm going to have to agree with you. You're right. It's old school to the core. There's still some 5e, but we have a special guest list that you're only going to find some of the bigger cons like Gamehole and Gary Con, but we have a top out at 500 people, so it's a very small, intimate con. Not that there's anything wrong with Gary Con or Gamehole Con; they're great smaller cons, but yes, North Texas we've had. I talked to so many people, and they tell me it has all the flavor of one of those cons you'd go to in the 80s or 90s on the weekend, and just a few hundred people there, just everybody just had a great time. That's exactly the feel we try to do for the con. So
now that being said, say you're like, all right, I can only go to one convention in my life, and I don't like Texas.
and it can't be in Texas. So
all right, but Gary Con is a bucket list. All right, Gary Con. You go to Gary Con. You visit the marker down by the lake with the family put out.
Yeah, you get to go by Horticultural Hall where they have the first 3 Gen Cons. You get to go see the TSR headquarters. If you want to drive by the Dungeon Hobby Shop, you can, because it is kind of a historical building. Just forget that Lanos and his goons are in there. And you go by Gary's house. Gary's house is there on Center Street. It's there's a lot of cool things there. Yes, probably some stuff you're not going to deal with, because it does get really crowded inside the Lake Geneva, the lodge. It's just it's not really meant for that kind of convention, right?
No, but it's a bucket list, and if you're bringing, and I'm going to assume, basing at the numbers that I know for this channel, if you're one of the 97+% of my viewers who happen to be male, if you bring your significant other, your spouse, with you, they can go to the spa while you're doing. It'll cost you money. Don't get me wrong, but Rach loved the spa. It was awesome, and so be it. You got happy people. But now, if you can go to 2 conventions a year that you can actually travel to, the second one should be Gamehole. Alex runs an amazing convention. He has that German attitude, damn proper and good, and everything runs like clockwork. You will not screw up. You will not embarrass him. But he's an amazingly kind, generous individual who, again, runs an amazing, amazing convention. You won't be disappointed. And you also won't have to walk a mile to get to the vending hall. Oh, shit. Did I say that, Mike? Not a mile.
You're not wrong.
Three-quarters of a mile. I'm sorry. I was over-exaggerating for making my point. But Con Carolina's in Carolina. Go figure. James, which artwork are we talking about here? By the way, I'm on vacation, so I got no artwork to hold up. If we're talking about the continual light artwork, I mean, I could probably do a Google search for it. And if you want to see what the shirt looks like that I'm talking about, that I've done with Fugly stuff, just go to tankarstavern.com and look in the last week or so. I actually have a picture of me wearing it. Came out amazingly good. As Arnold would say, it's awesome. But we got to work out the logistics of actually getting it into the hands of people. So I was all excited too, Mike, with Cafe Press, because they sent me a 50% off coupon. My entire order in the next 7 days. I'm like, if my sample shirt comes back good, I'm just going to buy, like 20 shirts of different sizes, and just, I'll save people money, and we'll find a way to sell it all. And it's like, oh shit, they don't like my stuff no more because they say it's copyright. Oh, and here, how about this one? I don't know if you knew about this, Mike, but last Friday's live stream, the random generator party, earned me our first copyright. Not a strike, but our first copyright infringement.
So I play music in the background, or that's how those things usually get done.
No,
I've had that happen to friends before.
No. We played 3 trailers. We played the trailer for Dungeons and Dragons,
right?
And stopped it and commented on it, and no issue. We played a trailer for what was the other? There was another trailer for. Maybe it was I you know what? Here I was so excited about it. I can't remember what the other trailer was for, but apparently there was no issue with it. And then we played the trailer for the Amazon Lord of the Rings upcoming.
Oh no! Oh, Amazon doesn't like that.
That earned us a copyright infringement demonetization for that video within 30 minutes after we finished recording.
Wow!
Because they're not getting good feedback. I'm sure if we were like, "Oh, this looks awesome," hey, let's go.
I don't understand if that trailer is already on YouTube. I don't understand. I don't know all the rules involved.
And we commented on it. We made commentary, but they made a claim on it. And when they make a claim on it, they get the monetization. Now, I've had some days recently. You can. We never even talk about. Hey, you can do one of those super chats and and donate. I never even bring it up. I'm sure the button's there on your screen, but we don't stress it. My average day for, I don't know, ad revenue on YouTube. There's been some recent exceptions where we hit like $8, $9, but usually it's like anywhere from $2 to $4. I don't think Amazon's going to be like noticing the $3 in their pocket one way or the other.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But
Maybe
that,
maybe a couple. Well, no, even if 1,000 people don't do it, it's not going to matter. The company that made couple billion dollars last year, that's just, I don't know what that is. It's protecting their copyright, I guess, for whatever
I
reason.
think again, I think it's because
You weren't saying it was your. You didn't say. Wait, hold on. You didn't say that you guys are putting on the movie, right? Maybe that was.
No.
Oh, okay.
But we were not complimentary. Although Rob Conley knew all the history, and Rob was sorting us out, and Rob was correcting us for uh, our wrong guesses, but no, I guess because it wasn't complimentary, it had to go. No, no coffee for you. Certainly couldn't afford a Starbucks anyway with that. But Tom, if you're gonna toilet paper the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, don't announce it prior. That's all I'm gonna say.
I said don't do it. The building is a beautiful building. I was out front of it. It's just a gorgeous building, but yeah, it doesn't deserve the people inside of it. This is not. It's not its fault. It's not the building's fault. These idiots are inside. Don't. Speaking of idiots inside, should we cover this a little bit?
Which one?
Ernie's partner in the
Oh
Memorial
God,
Tomb,
yes.
Benoit, made
You've been
some
following this better
comments.
than I have.
Years ago, Benoit. First of all, he's a very good friend of Ernie, Canadian guy who is a good writer. I've seen some of his writing before the Memorial Tomb, and it was really good. So, unfortunately, he hasn't done anything too much in the last few years. But he's just finishing up Memorial Tomb for Troll Lord Games. He's really been off Facebook for a while, so he popped back on, and he pretty much kicked Justin and friends off of all the pages he was administrator of, and denounced everything they did. And then people kept saying, "What about Ernie? What about Ernie?" And he said, "Well, Ernie's my brother and he's my friend, and I even though I know he did wrong, I can't denounce him." And
Right.
so whatever. But he also said he wants to come out with Dungeon Hobby Shop, the Dungeon Hobby Shop dungeon, after they finish up Memorial Tomb, which should be pretty soon. And my issue with that is that there's not a lot of people that are willing to go to the wall for I don't know how they're going to raise money, but you already have a Kickstarter that's 8 or 9 years late. That makes me think about dropping any cash on new ones. And then the way Ernie has been acting lately, and just the ridiculous lengths he's gone to just push himself away from his family, away from fans, that would be the second reason I wouldn't drop any money on it. So, he's been posting, he's been defending Ernie and defending the project in a lot of posts, and it's pretty ballsy for him to do that. I mean, that takes a lot of balls to do, but I think he's fighting a losing battle here, because I think from here on out, Ernie being attached to a project is the kiss of death. It's not the chef's kiss, the kiss of death, because there is a lot of people that do not want anything to do with him now after his behavior. And the behavior, not that Ernie himself is a neo-Nazi, but when your business partners are neo-Nazis, it doesn't look good. I mean, I love Eric to death, but if he came on next week's show with a swastika and was, saluting the flag in the Hitler way, I would be, whoa, we're going to have to break up this workplace spouse.
Maybe we need an intervention going on over here.
So the problem is just that if you hang around with if you sleep with dogs, you get fleas, right? And that's exactly what's happened with Ernie at this point. He can disavow him all he wants, but the problem is he's not even disavowing him. He's just not doing anything. He's not commenting on Dave Johnson, who was pretty much outed as being a neo-Nazi. Michael Yack, who's in the same boat. He's right there with him in terms of neo-Nazi. Justin, I don't know as much about, but he seems like he doesn't mind hanging around with those kind of people either. I mean, they work for him, So there's just some miserable human beings that Bernie's hanging out with. He has never come out and outright said, Well, I don't believe the best I think he said is just that. Well, I don't believe everything they believe, or something along. Just really goofy,
Oh,
not
and
really
I'm gonna need to do my own research
right.
on
Yeah, yeah,
this, and well, they all have told me that they aren't. So that's I mean, it, what me a Nazi? Nine. Oh, that hurt my shoulder.
yeah. So anyway, that was just interesting. He came out. He found this was the week to come out and kind of have to defend Ernie while announcing that they may be a project after Memorial Tomb. And yeah, I mean, Memorial Tomb looks amazing. It took 9 years, which is far too long. And a lot of that, I'll be honest with you, it's Ernie throwing Benoit under the bus because in that time when Ernie's been working on it, or no, I'm sorry, when Ben's been working on it, Ernie's been to rehab and then he had heart surgery. I mean, he's just been all around, in and out, up, down, and he hasn't helped Ben one bit with all the. I
Right.
mean, I guess he gave him the initial manuscript. Past that, he's had very little to do with it. Um, but Ben is not throwing his friend under the bus and says, "No, I'm going to support him." But I don't know what this means
Is
for
it
future projects.
is it even throwing him under the bus? Honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
I hear Rich in the background. It's saving his ass. She's like, I just took my earbuds out. I couldn't help but hear what was going on. I had a comment, but it is true. And listen, I have some amazing friends in this community and outside. And in my life, there have been friends that were really close to me that I've had to step away from because
Sure.
they were toxic, or you know what, they hung with people that would have been detrimental to my career. And that's what we're talking about here too, right? If Benoit wants to make this his career as a creator, well, you better be doing it with people that aren't going to hold you down and hold you back. Ernie is no longer the selling point that he was. He's no fault but his own. You can't blame that on anybody else giving him wrong advice. This is all Ernie giving Ernie advice. And when Mike and I said put Ernie's name on every product, this is before he became toxic by association. And I don't think there's very many people that will argue that point. And as a creator, I don't really. Mike, you're better at this. How many titles prior to the Memorial Tomb did Ernie have his name on?
Here's exactly what he's ever done in business industry. He ghost wrote the Sagar the Barbarian Choose Your Adventure series with Flint Dille back in the 80s. He was co-writer of Lost City of Gaxmore with his brother, and then that's
And we've seen
it.
Luke's writing, so I'm gonna make an
That's
assumption
it.
that Luke did much of the writing.
He probably did. That's it. And if we're talking about the formidable, TSR days of 77 through 85, he didn't do anything. He worked. He was working the shipping department of the Dungeon Hobby Shop, and he was running the Dungeon Hobby Shop dungeon in the basement. That was it.
Probably the one that sent me. Probably the one that was involved in sending me shit that I should never have gotten. But yeah, in any case.
But yeah, he never. Yeah, he's remarkably silent about stuff that he should have a much bigger presence on, because I mean his dad ran a gaming company. I can't believe that he didn't come up with anything. I mean, or even afterwards, even after his dad was booted, okay, well, there's still a lot of third party stuff that comes out. There's a lot of game companies running around. You would think he'd get a job with a game company. I don't know.
Honestly, from what I've read about Ernie from Ernie, even now, when Ernie talks about the hobby, does he talk about creating or talks about wanting to run games? He wants to be the professional game master, professional DM, and doesn't create stuff for his own campaign, maybe, but not really publish it.
He did not object being called Gary Gygax Jr., which is a name he has never gone by, ever, in the last 3 or 4 decades. But he did not object when games wanted to use that association. Said, "Oh, we have Gary Gygax Jr. writing for us." His name he just has never gone by professionally. So the fact that he didn't object to that tells me, yeah, he's not too worried about. He just wants to kind of he wants to have a reputation in the industry. He feels like he should be more well known than he is, but without all the hard work involved. Because there's a lot of hard work involved. You can't just run games at the Dungeon Hobby Shop for 20 years and then everybody knows who I am now. That's not how this works. You have to actually publish things.
Well, you got to publish things, and you have to be able to make a social media presence that isn't full of horrible missteps and mistakes. And when you get called on it, you double down. I mean, that's generally. I mean, unless you're Wenger, in which case it's part of your marketing strategy. But Ernie can't do that. I mean, I saw his recent thing about. I'm guessing he was being called on being associated with TSR, and he basically came out with, "Well, all I want to do is game."
And that's probably true. I believe him. I think that probably is absolutely true. The problem is there's more to it than just say you want to game. You also have to deal with what's going on around you. And in reference to what James Seymour said there, please define neo-Nazis you're using it. That's a textbook definition of what Dave Johnson is, because there was a huge data dump of what Dave had on his Pinterest and pages, and it was Nazi shit. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It's Hitler was right. Here's a bunch of swastikas. Here's a bunch of Jew jokes. I mean, it was absolutely the standard for what you'd call somebody a neo-Nazi for. And it's incumbent upon, if Ernie's worried about his reputation, to come out and say, this shit isn't right. I don't agree with anything that Dave Johnson did. As a matter of fact, I don't want him writing for TSR anymore. And I talked to Justin about this, and we look, if your company loses Dave Johnson, you ain't losing anything. It's like me losing a turd, but I take a shit. I mean, the guy is no talented piece of garbage, and so you're not losing anything by losing him. There's no point. This isn't like the New York Yankees, or the California Angels trading Shitani or something. Oh, well, we don't want to trade him, because he's no. This guy's a no talent piece of garbage. So it doesn't cost you anything to cut him. The fact that Ernie was too scared of I don't know what to say anything about him, it tells you volumes.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. If you know how somebody is saying, well, I know they are what they are, but it doesn't affect me because all I want to do is play games. It doesn't.
To a certain extent, I understand. And look, Eric, what I say about our convention all the time, just come and play games. We don't care what your politics are. We don't care who you voted for. When you walk in there, we don't want to hear politics. We don't want you to asking who the DMs voted for, that kind of crap. Just come and play games. But there is a point, and the point comes when you unearth the stuff like Dave Johnson had, which is beyond a shadow of a doubt to me. I don't think anything part of that was fake at all. And the reason it's not fake is because if somebody said that about me, I would be all over your show. I'd be on every show I could get on. I would start my own show saying this is bullshit. This is not true. This is garbage, whatever. Has he denied one bit of this, Dave Johnson?
Not publicly, except for saying that he was hacked. Years ago, but and he wasn't able to get into his Twitter account, and then once this happened, then suddenly he was able to get into his Twitter account. That makes no fucking sense, honestly. And by the way, neither Mike nor I throw around terms like neo-Nazi. I know that certain people throw it around as a political term.
Right? It is an overused. It's an overused term. It's an absolute overused.
I've been called it.
I agree.
Okay, yes. I have been called it by people on one side of the political spectrum because I did not pass a purity test. So that is which kind of tells you how I didn't pass a purity test. So therefore, I'm being called a neo-Nazi. Figure that one out. But yeah, it gets thrown around a lot. I have relatives that fought the Nazis on my mother's side, on my father's side. They were living in Europe. They suffered under the Nazis. I have no love for any of that shit, obviously. But so I don't like to use that term. I hate to use that term because it diminishes what happened back in the 30s and 40s, and it makes it seem like, oh, because you don't agree with somebody, they're being called a neo-Nazi, right? No, that takes power away from the term. So we don't use it lightly. When you got swastikas all across your profile, when you talk about how the disabled should be kind of like done away with because it would, that's all the agendas that fit underneath that. So that's why it's not being used lightly. It's not being used without thought. It's being used because it's a little definition.
We do not throw that around, like, because some people look, if you cut out their cars, if you're going to go to a parking lot and you cut off them before they get a car space, they come out of their car screaming you're a Nazi, because it's the word everybody uses now. I feel bad because it's been devalued. That term's been devalued because so many people use it about so many different things, and there's a lot of words like that, like fascist or whatever. It's just devalued, communist, because you can't, But my dad, he used to crack us up because everybody he didn't like was a communist, because he grew up in the 50s, and you called, if the worst insult you could make in New York, Ryan, New York, just to one of your friends, was to call him a communist. And so he grew up, he was that way even in the 80s and stuff. He would call people, that guy's a communist. Well, no, Dad, he's not really, no, not really. But, I understand you don't like communists, but this guy's the communist. And so that's the same thing. So, we don't use that word without knowing what this guy has done, which is basically card-carrying neo-Nazism, which to me is making the Hitler was right jokes. That kind of seals the deal right there, I think.
Well, Matthew also points out excuse me, but I got to beat a bilge. The Star Frontier's new Genesis, or no good, or not going to happen, race descriptions alone pretty much sealed the deal. Yeah. And there's a reason why. When I saw that document, and I literally stopped. It was like, stop, drop, and roll. I stopped on, holy sh! And I went, did I really see this? And because you don't believe that anybody would put work like that into something that's going to be published. Mm-hmm. And I use that with quotation marks because I really don't think they meant it to be.
No. We're not even sure. I mean, for all we know, this all could have been. I haven't really comment on that. The whole thing that you did, that was the shot heard around the world. You got. I mean, that was an explosion. That was an atomic bomb, man. The beta release there, but the thing was, it doesn't even look like it was meant to be published. It looks like just doodlings of an idiot kid. I'm going to have a race about, and we're going to call them Negroes. I mean, it's like 13-year-old idiot kids.
Because I can tell all those woke people, look what I did there. Don't forget the Nordic Aryan race. Put them in too. There's a period to everyone.
It's like a circle jerk of 13-year-olds. It really is. That's what it reminded me of. So circle jerk of 13-year-olds thinking of doing their own version of Fatal, because that's basically Fatal.
But this actually might have a playable system because it's based on 5e. So you might be able to play something which Fatal is not playable. But my theory is, and I think Mike agrees, that this was written for the sole issue of, if we have something we can show the court. That,
right, yeah, I agree.
It's being used for, so we have the trademarks, we have something. Yeah. And from my understanding, and we've seen some public statements from people who said, I was approached to write this and I turned it down. By my calculation, there were at least 4, maybe 5 other people that were approached before and after, or I should say before and during Dave Johnson's writing of this, that were approached to actually write this, and they all turned it down. Some with had to do a lot of thought, and then went, you know what, this looks like it's going to be a shit show, I better not. And so they took I'm going to guess, assumptions, folks, I'm spitballing, that this is something that Dave Johnson had already been working on, because Dave has dozens of projects that go nowhere. And this is something he's like, oh, okay, Justin, I have this with my...
I've already got a script, and Justin was so thrilled to find anybody that write for his crap-ass game system company that he was like, okay, yeah, we'll just do that. I'm not absolving him of anything, because when you hire shitty people, you're going to get shitty writing. So he knows by hiring these idiots like Dave and Michael and all of them, he's going to get shit. I mean, he hires the lowest common denominator human because he can't afford to hire anybody. I mean, he hired. Think about how juvenile this is. Think about how childish this is. He hired a guy to manage his Discord page, who thought calling it Tenkar's toilet was the height of hilarity.
Yeah,
that's how low brow humor we're talking here. And how great this is.
His recent,
and I'm still mad he thought of that before I did. Damn it!
Well, still, but like his recent posting, he talks about how he's going to visit my family members, and he goes around naming them all. And I honestly, I would pay for him to come up from Costa Rica or whatever the.
Costa Rica.
I think it's Costa Rica.
Costa Rican.
I will pay for him to come up from Costa Rica, visit my in-laws, because I'll only have to get a one-way ticket. He won't find himself going back. His health insurance better be paid up, because I got a Marine on that side and somebody else who just doesn't understand anger management. So it would be
despite the classes.
Despite the classes, so it would sort itself out. But again, fake Southerners. I know many Southerners. They're awesome people. Justin and Michael Yak are carpetbaggers. They're trying to get Southern clout. Look at me.
I do get kind of a. This kind of what came out when we did the Wenger thread that you had to shut down. Is that, well, this is what happens when you have conservatives do blah blah. Wenger's not a conservative. These guys aren't conservatives. It is a grift. It's like the same way a grifter goes to a small town, grabs a Bible, throws on a black shirt and thing, and then starts praying and whatever. It's the same thing. They put on an identity based on who they think they can cheat and steal from, and they think that by using a bunch of conservative buzzwords, anti-woke and the woke people and this and that they can get these people to, because a lot of people are stupid and they fall for that. The same, like I said, that stories, and I have friends that have stories about the guy. You always have the guy selling snake oil. That was true. These guys would come into town. This even happened in the 20s and 30s and 40s. Yep. You have these guys roll through town in a wagon, and they would open up their thing, and they'd have all these vials. And they cured all this stuff, and they always had a Bible with them, because a guy back then, if a guy had a Bible with him, you got to believe him, right? Because and they would know just enough of the Bible just to get you to listen, and they get these older ladies to buy this shit, then they're gone, and it's just garbage. But they knew how to talk to their audience. Is what they did. They took on a persona. Yeah. That's all this is to these guys. It's a persona. Look, if they thought they could make more money from liberal lefties, they would be, doing that. That they'd be selling Biden T-shirts on the side, because that's how fake they are. That's how garbage people they are. Is they don't care. They just want to take whoever they think they can take the money from, and they, it's a grift, and that's what grifters do. Grifters are good at that.
Yeah, listen, we saw Ken Whitman learn how to grift from the community. He just had to once he found his shtick.
He told you what you wanted to hear. He told all these guys what you wanted to hear. Hey, I'm going to make a move, because here's what his pitch. I don't know if you remember this, Eric. You probably remember it. The pitch was he was doing television pilots. Remember that?
Oh,
He wasn't doing these little tiny, whatever shows. He was telling Mark Miller and Jolly and them, I'm doing television pilots.
And
this could get picked up. Yeah, this could get picked up by a television studio. Well, first of all, if you know anything about television pilots, there's thousands of television pilots made every day that you never see, and we're talking famous actors and actresses produce these, and you still never see them because they just never make it past the audience. So just because you're making a pilot doesn't mean anything. Second, he really wasn't making pilots. He was just using the money, and he was trying to get stars in their eyes and say, "Whoa, this is so cool. What if somebody picked up a Nights at the Dinner Table TV series? That'd be awesome, or a traveler TV series.
Licensing fees. Imagine,
oh my God, hey, this is good stuff, or Troll Lord Games, and they said this is awesome, and so all these guys said yes, because he spoke the language of that they wanted to hear, and these are all good people. Look, Schnault's an awesome person, Jolly's an awesome person, Mark Miller. There's no character flaw on their part. It's just that were, like we said, Whitman spoke the language of the people he wanted to take money from, which is that, look, I'm going to do these television pilots, and this could hit big. And he said that's something he said a lot. Was these are not? Oh no, these are not just short films; they're television pilots.
Well, but Mike, you're 80% wrong, which means
we have not heard back from Win, have we?
no. Well, I listen. Listen. Right, full disclosure. After that show, he emailed me his cell phone and said I could call or I could text him. And Mike, what has happened in since that time? A lot of stuff. But we're talking about here, Dandelion Games. Actual term Negro was used. The other term right after it was Nordic, which read like Aryan, but whatever. And with the Negro, they were exceptional at everything, but intelligence was
they're just not that smart. They can
be
intelligence
maximum 9.
Maximum, yeah.
9.
But the Nordic guys, now that's the race you want to play because they had above average stats and everything. Those blue and they were blonde hair, blue eye too. That's weird. It reminds me of something.
By the way, I don't know if you realize this, but Justin and our good writer of this game.
They're all
Dave,
dark-haired and dark eyes.
Yeah, the dark-haired.
Like they're self-hating.
The dark-haired, dark eyes. They don't quite fit. You know what? Know who they look more like than actual Aryans? Hitler, who didn't look like an actual. I could see one of them with a Kugelschreiber like that. Yeah, maybe.
You could say that. Well, I won't get into that here, but. Those are kind of the people, the ultimate grifters in a way, because they sold the German people something that was because hey, you've been kicked around since World War I, man. We're going to bring you back to prominence. You just got to believe this and that. You just got to hate these people over here that you might not. Who cares about these people anyway? And the people bought it. They bought into it. It was a grift too. It was a huge grift. But yeah, this is the same thing. This is a grift, and so they learned to speak the language. And the thing about Ken is, if Kim wants to talk, then do something, because you've made one video. Why don't you? I don't know what your plan is. We're not going to have you on the show to have you promote bullshit. Sorry, you're going to have to be around for a while. We got to see what's up, and then we're going to take an evaluation. We do not give you free publicity on this show. No, I'm sorry.
No. I mean,
especially the things. Did he forget all the stuff he said about you? About,
wait, about sending the FBI. You're gonna get home. The FBI, they'd be waiting on your doorstep. I'm gonna do a DCMA takedown of your blog because you're violating my rights on my picture. But by the way, I learned a lot dealing with Ken. So if the folks at TSR want to know where I did my legal research. Dealing with Ken Whitman, so Ken, thank you, by the way. And Ken and all his threats, I conversed with a number of attorneys at the time. I did my own research, and you realize, Mike, if I take a picture of you, guess what rights you have to that picture?
Less than 1%.
Absolutely jack shit.
You have less than 1%. Yeah, 0.
Right, because the actual photographer has the rights to that image, not you. So now, did I change those images to have a piece of shit where Ken's face was? I certainly updated it for that. But you gotta
usually the guy that starts screaming that he's going to sue you first. And you and I both know several attorneys, and the people who do it right don't say a damn thing. They let you bury yourselves. Matter of fact, they want you to keep talking, because the more you talk, the more they're like, oh, yeah, my house in Costa Rica is going to look nice because I'm going to sue the fuck out of these guys. And that's the whole thing is when they start off telling you they're going to sue you, it's bullshit, because any lawyer will tell you, no, keep them talking. Get more threats. So, yeah, we want them to say more and more horrible stuff about you. But the fact that they just immediately jump to, I'm going to sue you. It's just, look, you have to find a lawyer willing to take your stupid case. And most of the time, lawyers are like, they do cost-benefit analysis in their head. Like, okay, if I sue Tenkar, he's not really worth anything, and this guy's claim is idiotic. So, yeah, I'm going to take your $100 consultation fee, but I'm just going to tell you this isn't a good idea. So they get paid. Lawyers get paid no matter what. They're going to get paid for their consultation.
I mean, listen, and I stated this in the past again because I was in a position where I had to understand this. Apparently, in New York State, pensions can only be really garnished for child support and alimony. They can't be garnished for any other reason, including legal fees or legal action.
And I did research that you told me, and I could not believe some of the stories I read were basically you have cops in prison for the rest of their lives who are still getting their pension, and they
Yes.
can't. There's nothing they can do about it.
Nothing
And
they can do.
I guess their whatever their fee at their bank at the commissary is awesome because they're getting. I mean, I don't know what else you spend your pension on when you're in prison for the rest of your life, but I guess you get.
Here's the thing too, and it's the reason why. Like, listen, I left at 20 because I was done. But if you get to 20, used to be if you got to 20 and you got fired for cause, you lost your pension. So that was the job would often negotiate like guilty pleas in their tribunal court to get people to, but you'll still get your pension. And they'd be like, all right, but
You got to get these guys. You got to turn on these three guys, and you're okay.
Your pension is huge
because that's the thing. You want to keep your pension no matter what, right? I mean, that's what you worked for all those years. Yeah.
So then, state lawmakers changed it. You could survive a misdemeanor conviction, get fired for a misdemeanor conviction, and still keep your pension. And then suddenly, people were not retiring as soon because they were all pretty much like, all right, maybe if I do something stupid, I can still survive it. So it also meant that people that were failing drug tests after 20 years were getting a pension. You wouldn't get a good guy letter, so you would not get to carry a firearm, but
you're still getting your pension, so you're okay. You just get sent to Florida, where you're going to retire when you retire to Florida. Adam Mentor said, Eric, Mike, do either of you think Watson may take further legal action in light of the play test leak? So this is all speculation. We'll put on our speculation, absolute speculation hats here.
I forgot my speculation hat,
but this is like this. Do not take this as any kind of.
This is not legal advice.
Yeah,
this is
this is just
no insider information. Despite potential rumors that I am on the Wizards of the Coast payroll, I am not. Trust me, I am not on their payroll. So
I think so. My opinion is eventually. So Justin's having to pay somebody to be his lawyer right now. Nobody does this stuff for free. Not even your brother, your cousin, whatever.
Right.
And at a certain point, they're just going to get money whipped to where he's going to have to. Something's going to happen. I don't think he has enough money for Watson to sue him for anything. But I think what they'd like him to do is just drop all the IP stuff and basically just leave. Just get out of here and don't have anything to do with it anymore. And I know he thought he was going to get a big paycheck for that, but at this point, I think they hold all the cards and they'll just money whip him. They don't care if this case takes 5 years because it's just more money that just gets sucked out of him. And eventually, he's going to come crawling on hands and knees. His lawyer will come crawling on hands and knees and say, "Look, what can we do to make this go away? Because my client is destitute at this point." Because he will. He'll just get drained of money.
But here's the thing. Discovery is kicking off shortly. If you look at the
you're right. Absolutely right.
Discovery is expensive. Okay. So
because you got to fly to places, you got to appear in places, you got to go places to do the depositions.
Basically, deposition, you're going to interview the witnesses where they are. So if you have a witness in Kansas that you have to get deposed, both sides have to send an attorney to Kansas or get a local attorney to stand in for them. I've been deposed in situations like that in law enforcement. You find a neutral location. It was usually a library. And then you sit down with the city lawyer and the lawyer that was, suing, and you get deposed. But it's an expensive process when you're going to have people who have been working remotely for TSR that are going to be suddenly involved in this process. And whether they are a hostile witness for TSR or they are going to be a willing witness for Wizards of the Coast or whatever, this is all going to come into play. But here is my suspicion, Mike. They're not just suing TSR. They've added Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum to the mix, which puts the property in play. And they are suing Justin himself. And
Who, as
I,
Tom makes perfectly clear, he owns a bunch of tattoo parlors and all kinds of other stuff in
yep,
New Jersey. He's got a bunch of businesses in New
uh,
Jersey. Yes.
New Jersey or North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. Why did I say New
You
Jersey?
don't so
It's
Jersey has
hard.
enough.
Okay, it's hard to insult Jersey.
Yeah,
Come on now.
yeah.
It was
Jersey
hard
has
to
enough
insult
issues
Jersey.
on its own.
Yeah. Why did I say Jersey?
So because he was a late add-on. Initially, they were just suing TSR. Him and the Jersey Hobby Shop Museum were late add-ons. That leads me to believe, again, spitballing,
Yeah, we're
speculating.
spitballing. This is all
Okay,
speculation, friends.
is that they believe that they can get through the veil of a corporation and find him personally responsible. And if he becomes personally responsible, then all of his properties are in play. So, do I think they want to destroy him? Probably not. But will they if he doesn't back off? Likely. And how likely is Justin to back off? I'm gonna give him credit for being one of the most stubborn individuals I probably met in my life, aside from myself. And I expect he will go down swinging. And if he goes down swinging, he's not going to be given a friendly hand to pick him back up and say, "Okay, you took your best shot. So here's the deal. We'll cover our legal costs. You cover your legal costs. We get all the trademarks, and you walk away, and everybody's happy." I suspect, at the very least, they're going to want their legal costs covered, even if they don't look for damages. They can go give us $1 in damages, but pay our legal costs. You're paying a legal cost for Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro. You're fucked.
Yeah.
So
no, that's what's going to get it. And they're in no hurry. That they have lawyers on call, on staff, whatever. They handle all kinds of piddly stuff all during the year. That's why it's no big deal to them. This takes place next year, because it's just more drain on his financial resources. More calls from the lawyer like, well, nothing's changed, and send your check in this month, and nothing's changed, and you get that from how do you think the case is going to go? Oh, I don't know. I don't see a possible scenario where things work out for him. And we had Ty on the show once. We talked to lawyers, don't see anything positive for him in this. So it's just a long, drawn out process of draining money. He's just going to keep draining money. Eventually, hopefully, before he gets broke totally, he'll go to his lawyer and say, try to work out some kind of settlement. And these things don't go to court. These things never go to court. I mean, and you were in the whole legal system for a long time, Eric.
Yeah.
You know this. Cases don't go to court. That is a failure. DA is considered a failure when a case comes to court. They are told to settle this out of court. We don't want a trial.
My own personal experience when it comes to criminal court, in my first five years before I started doing crime stats and then I got promoted, I made 140 arrests. Of those 140 arrests, I was called to court 3 times. Of those 3 times I was called to court, all 3 times I was called to court, the plea was taken right before the trial started.
Yep.
Jury was seated. I was ready to testify. Your Honor, I'd like to ask my client has pled guilty. And, all right, release the jurors. Now, they've served, believe it or not. They never even heard a case, but they've served. They're happy. They get to go.
I have never, in my 59 years, I have never been to an actual trial yet that they had a verdict at the end, because every single one was settled before the trial. They don't like, and sometimes they'll even go to trial for a while, and then both kind of see how the case is going, and then the defendant thinks, this is not going our way. We're going to make a deal with the DA, or the DA says, let's offer him something because I think the jury may come back not guilty. This is just the way the system works. It's just the way the system works.
And here's the thing. Before I became a cop, I was on a criminal trial. We actually got a conviction, but that's only because the jury I was on was a bunch of, I can't say the word because it's not politically correct.
Leos.
They were morons trying to find excuses as to why this individual was caught by police with 1 foot in and 1 foot outside of a broken window. literally
Yeah.
with property from the apartment. They were trying to find, maybe he was homeless looking for a place to stay. I mean, honestly. So we
tried everything they could to possibly. Look, let's don't put
yeah,
this guy in jail.
we got
We don't have
we got a conviction on that. But I have served on civil juries as a cop, and my first civil jury, we got, because civil trials in New York State have two phases. You have fault, and then you have damages. And our first phase, we found fault, and after they found fault, we were told to stand by. We're going to tell you when to return for the second phase. And literally, within 2 minutes, we were told, you need to see the court officer for your dismissal paperwork. Because they settled at that point. They don't want damages in the hands of a bunch of 6 assholes. I mean,
who knows where you guys could go? Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Have you ever been polled afterwards? Because I had this happen to a friend of mine that they settled right before verdict, and they polled him after and said, "Hey, how are you going to vote?" Because they wanted to know. They were too scared. The defense was really scared how it might go, and sadly for the defense lawyer, they said, "Oh, we were going to give your client money." He got money anyway. He ended up getting money anyway, but they were like, "Oh yeah, we were definitely going to give him money because we couldn't take the chance." But yeah, so that sometimes they wait till the jury's in there, and they work out a deal. So this is
the civil cases. Like I said, a lot of times the civil cases may play out for that first phase. I was the foreman on a jury that got hung. We were 4 in favor of damages, 2 that weren't, and the 4 in favor of damages were the cop, the corrections officer, the Board of Education teacher, and the Verizon employee. 4 people that were getting paid to go to jury duty. And the 2 people who every day after jury duty had to go back to their office in Manhattan and do 4 hours of work just to keep their heads above water weren't going to go on to the second phase no matter what. So I got reprimanded by the judge. Are you telling with a southern accent in New York? Are you telling me, as a member of a law enforcement community, you could not get a majority decision? Your Honor, it's not going to happen. You are dismissed without the pleasure of the court. I'm like, the hell is that? So
he was mad. He had to waste about however many days. Yeah.
So I was like, what does that mean? He goes, dude, he's really pissed at you. And I was like, I can't tell what 2 people.
What do you want you to do? Strong arm everybody in there? Yeah. And slap them around, give them a little,
Slap them around. Listen, if this was a murder case, they would have found where the guy was found with a knife in his hand and confessed spontaneously. They would have found him not guilty because they wouldn't have wanted to keep on deliberating. They'd be like, whatever takes us home. So what do you got? Chris James is in the room.
Oh, baby. B, baby. Oh, I'm behind B right now. Oh, my God. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot we were still on. No, but so that is kind of, I don't think this is not going to go to trial. It's going to eventually, it's just how much damage just does Justin want to, how many times do you want to get kicked in the nuts? And he thinks, like Eric said, he's very stubborn. He thinks he's a tough guy. I bet he gets kicked in the nuts quite a bit, but eventually it's just going to come down to, did he F up? And yes, he did. And so it's a foregone conclusion how this is going to end up, but what's going to happen in the meantime is he's just going to get drained of money, time, and resources. So, and that may be why, by the way, if speculation is true, and we speculate a lot, obviously, he may have wanted to get this really, really miserable to hope that Watsy wants to settle just to get him out and to get him away and to wash their hands of him. And maybe that's a strategy. Like, look, the more disgusting you are, the more they're going to want to settle because their anniversary is coming up next year.
You don't want to pay publicity. I think he was banking on that. I think he was banking on they're going to pay me money to walk away. They don't want bad publicity, but you know what? He's not big enough to be bad publicity. That's the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, he's big in our little corner of the universe. By the way, Mike, we hit 1,510 subscribers. So
my God, we did.
We did. Before the end of the month, we did it. So that means, folks, next Wednesday, we're going to give away at least 250 $50 worth of drive-through.
Wow. Oh, I love those days. Oh, I love
I'll
those days.
probably
Yes.
try to throw
They're fun.
a shirt to somebody in the United States because I'm not shipping overseas. I'll see if I
I
can
got
get
some free
orders in.
stuff. I'll look around here and grab some
Yeah.
Frog God stuff.
But
Free stuff.
1,500, 10, we passed 1,500. It's a beautiful thing. I can't thank everybody enough. The support's been amazing.
It's
It really
awesome.
has.
Yeah. So Spawn's just being disgusting. Just ignore him. He's trying to sex me up or something on video. He's disturbed. He's a disturbed individual. Miserable human being. So he just trying to. He's jealous. A lot of it's jealousy too. No, but so yeah, because I was just going to say another story that we can relate to that is Hasbro just had. First of all, they had their best year ever last year. They just had their best quarter ever. So they're not. Nothing Justin's doing is affecting their bottom line.
No,
it's not like they're like, oh man, he's talking a bunch of shit about us. We better settle up with him. No, he's a fly speck. All right? They don't care.
Here's the other way to look at it too. Their lawyers are getting paid whether they're in action with Justin,
Yep,
or sitting in their office,
playing.
I don't know, Minesweeper on their computers. It's still on Windows computers. I don't know.
That you're showing your age, I think.
But they're getting paid one way or the other.
Yeah.
But here, maybe they get a few extra billable hours that they can get a little overtime, and maybe they get to buy the Porsche that they weren't gonna. I was only gonna get a Mercedes, but now I can buy a Porsche. It's a little extra money in their pocket because it is. But they're not hurting. And again, the view of Hasbro is we were spending this money anyway on these people. Make them work for it, right? Why not? So,
sure.
But and something we haven't mentioned too is if they allow themselves, and I'm going to use a loaded term here. I'm not saying this is necessarily what it was, but the common meaning of like extortion. If you don't give me money, I am going to make your IP look horrible. Your trademark, I'm going to drag it through the dirt. But if you pay out to one, then others will see that you pay out, and it's such a bad precedent. And I don't see them wanting to pay out to a trademark squatter, right?
Especially somebody that's so ridiculous as him too, that has no game at all the way they do things.
No.
Yeah. This hick, they don't want to pay out for this hick from North Carolina that's just a goofball. Yeah,
he's a goofball. Thank you, Elementary.
But by the way, there's something we should mention today. Today is Gary Gygax Day.
That's right.
For those who don't know, and so that's. I mean, it's not like I really celebrate or anything, but I did see all the Facebook posts today. It's really cool that there's a thing called Gary Gygax Day. Celebrating his birthday. So that's very cool, and we all owe him a debt. I mean, if it weren't for Gary Gygax, I might be rich because I might have spent my money and time doing other things and playing D&D all through high school and college, and I could have become a giant success somewhere. So I have to thank him for that. That I'm just that I'm doing this with you on Wednesday nights instead of being at the country club. Instead of being at the country club playing golf with my my lawyer buddies.
Wouldn't you rather be here? By the way, folks, I'm going to make a mention of this. It's probably going to be the Tavern's post when I get done with the live stream. But if you go to Bundle of Holding, Halls of Arden Vool is available for $25. Normally it's $100.
That is a great deal. That is a gigantic mega dungeon.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is a great deal.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, that's was put out by Joe Browning's company. I can't remember. I don't remember the author's name. I'm sorry.
Expedition.
But it's a. I have just barely delved into it a few times, and I just literally don't have the time to just get into it. But if you ever want to see what the ultimate mega dungeon would ever look like, it's just an amazing work. It's just amazing because it literally just has this whole living dungeon of all these different factions. It's got a gigantic backstory and history. It's really amazing work. I don't know if anybody's ever actually played it, but it sure is pretty cool to read. I've enjoyed reading the little parts that I have. So
I actually own it in the hardcover.
And the hardcover is beautiful. I just have a PDF, so the hardcover is gorgeous. I don't, definitely. And I also wanted to say something else. there is a Christmas in July going on
A drive-through.
drive through, and there's some good stuff. I'm really getting to OSC lately. OSC's kind of been my really cool thing that I've just been because I love BX anyway, so I'm really doing OSC stuff.
Right.
There's a lot of OSC Christmas in July, a lot of adventures and rulebooks and stuff, but a lot of other stuff too. I'm looking right now. Oh my gosh, there's for pretty much every game system, and some of the prices are crazy. Like you just said, that the price for Art and Vol is nuts.
But that's not on drive-through. Although if you buy the bundle of holding, I believe that it will show up in your drive-through account. So you always have access to it.
It should, yeah.
And folks, again, I'm putting up a link to bundle of holding. I don't have an affiliate link there. I've been going forward. I'm going to be sharing my affiliate links as a pinned comment on these videos because I've had folks ask me how can we support, and I shouldn't be selling things at cost. Listen, the things that are going to be sold at cost are going to be sold at cost. If you want to support, buy through the affiliate links. You get something, and we get a little money to support the show. It works out for everybody. So
check out, like I said, if you're into OSC, check out I'm looking, every single OSC book I have is probably 10-20% off. And OSC is a really fun system. Frog Got Games will be as we were told last week by Zach. Whisper Venom's going to be OSC. There'll be OSC version. It's really good stuff. So check it out and find, you can find something you like. It doesn't matter which system you're using. I'm looking right now. I shouldn't have done this, Eric. Now I'm sitting here looking at all the stuff I can buy on Christmas in July. How much extra cash do I have? There's some good deals here.
Well, is Christmas in July still going to be going on next week? I don't know.
It's going to be going through this week. I think through July 29th or maybe
August 29th or July 29th.
No, I think it's just July through the end of
July. So it ends tomorrow. Oh, day after tomorrow.
Oh dear. Let's see what it says here. Yeah, no, it says you have 4 days. So 4 days, 11 hours, and 47 minutes.
Sorry, folks. The gift certificate giveaways will be after the.
Yep, it's going to be to the end of July. So just do it before next Monday, and you'll be okay. Looks like
Gary's in the room. Gary says there'll be North Texas announcements next Wednesday.
Whoa. Okay. Mr. Gary woke up and decided to join us here. Hey, he and I talked about this. I think I know what he's talking about. So we will have to have Gary on sooner rather than later, I guess.
Sounds good.
He says next Wednesday. So that sounds like we're going to have Gary as a guest on next week or the week after, probably.
Yeah, folks, our next live stream. Guess what? I'll be 55. Double nickel.
Oh, you don't look a day over 65. You'll be.
Yeah, I know. If I would cut my hair, I'd look a lot younger because I look a lot less gray.
That's why I shave it, man. That's why I just shaved. I'm tired of dealing with it. I had it shaved while I was in Wisconsin. Got rid of it. Our buddy Joe Block, Adventures Dark and Deep, and Castle of the Mad Archmage are on sale too. So Castle of the Mad Archmage is great. It's a fun mega dungeon. If you just want to run so it's kind of the opposite of Art and Vol. It's just a wild and crazy, funhouse dungeon, mega dungeon. It's great. Just throw players in it. Just go. And there's a whole bunch of levels to it, and it's just really good stuff too. That's a really fun dungeon.
Any other place he shaves, he uses an electric shaver. We'll just leave it at that, all right?
You know exactly where I shave, James, because you've asked for pictures before. So just stop acting innocent. You know exactly where I shave. And by the way, you never paid me for those pictures, so I'm a little upset.
Ooh.
So never paid me. Nope.
Mike's only. You know what? Go to onlyfans.com /
Oh,
Bad Mike.
Yeah.
There. Come on.
I need to, even you guys like me need a little cash every once in a while. I'm not proud, but how else can I'm trying to get Funko Pops of all the Golden Girls. So I've only got B. Arthur because James Spawn's a cheap son of a bitch. He only gave me this one.
He's holding you back. He's holding you back.
Dorothy's my favorite. B. Arthur's our favorite because I don't know if I've ever told you this story. Oh, maybe I've told you about 15 times, but his first. Well, let's just say James first discovered he was a man while watching the Star Wars holiday special and seeing B. Arthur at the bar, and then late that night he became a man. So, just
All right, folks. On that note, I think Mike is getting he's had a little bit too much of that. Whatever he's drinking in his Diet Pepsi, some random Irish whiskeys. God help us.
James
All
knows
right.
he knows it's true. He knows it's true.
Whether it's true or not, God help us, folks. Hey, and here we got 23 people watching the live stream right now. I'm going to say,
Hey, nice. We started out slow tonight too. We started very slow tonight, so we thanks for everybody that popped in tonight, and thanks for getting us 1,500 subscribers. I say we, even though it's Eric. It's Eric that does all the hard work. I just like to pop in once a week. So
and I'm going to cover something real quick because Mike's saying that, and that's total bullshit. It's just me 4 days a week. Okay, Wednesdays it's myself and Bad Mike. Friday it's either me and Glenn, me and a random generated party with everybody from Joe the Lawyer to Matt Jackson and others. Rob Conley, who's guested with us. Saturdays it's me and Rach. And by the way, our last Gamers Health, which was dealing with mental health, is the most watched episode I think that we've done that wasn't either at North Texas or didn't have Justin's father popping into the chat to be an ass. So I don't know how many people are watching that one. I think they was coming in to tell the old man where to go. So I've also been told by a number of people that it was a very important episode. They got a lot of value out of it. So we appreciate it. The feedback is amazing. It's why we do it. And we will try to maintain the high standards. But we also have some guests planned for the summertime. We've already had a guest recently dealing with blindness, dealing with RPGs for the blind. I thought that was an amazing topic. Yeah. So you come here 6 days a week for lots of gaming talk, lots of news and gaming, drama and gaming. That's all great and fine. But if you really want to watch an episode that is for gamers, for you, your family, your community, Saturday night's Gamers Health, my wife and myself. She brings the perspective of a social worker who's been in the field for well over 20 years. I bring the perspective of somebody who did law enforcement for 20 years. There's some overlap. My social work was more improv and untrained, but it worked. But
it's a fun show, and I don't tune in nearly enough. I always forget you guys are on Saturday night. I'm always looking around for something to do on Saturday night, and I forget to tune in. But I've been trying to hit it as much as I can, so it's always informative.
Honestly, the live feedback from the community has been amazing, and they've given us topics that we've left with where Rachel's like, all right, I got research to do because I got to make sure that next episode we can present what they requested. It really is. If people ask me, again, I love doing all this stuff, but what I really feel I'm giving back to the community as opposed to just sharing with the community, I give back to the community on Saturdays, and they allow me to. And I do that with, Rach allows us to be put in that position. So it's a blessing. So, not to get too sappy, but there are some times when I do some of these episodes that they kind of like, oh my God, more fucking drama from this jackass and that jackass. I was on Rolling Bones on Monday night with Ryan Howard, and even he was
I'm gonna be on in about 2 weeks. I'll be.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Wait a second. I'm on next Monday. Holy shit, I am. I'm on next Monday. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric. I just totally forgot.
Yeah,
I'll be on too. Wow, I need to watch one of the shows, see what a good job he does.
Michael, we'll bring you on whenever you're ready. I believe we're going to have. We haven't confirmed a date yet, but I believe we're going to have Alice possibly on. Alice Pang, well known on gaming.
Yeah, love Alice. Yeah.
She's been on Talking Crit with Mike and I back in our podcast.
We dig Alice. Yeah, she's awesome.
She's an amazing person. So we're trying to open things up and really get the community involved in it. And this is this is what I do because I have so much fun doing it. And Gamers Health we do because I feel like it's almost like a calling. It's really where I give back, and I think it's important. So, but again, we're at 1,511 subscribers. Listen, if you get to what's a good number? 1525. 1525 is doable. 1525. I'll put another $25 into the pot. We get to 1550. I'll put another $25 beyond that. So right now we're at 250 for next week's giveaways. 275 if we can get to 1525. Get to 1550 by the beginning of next week's episode of Talking Crit. We'll give away $300 in drive-through monies. I think that sounds.
Oh, I love giving away. Oh, it's great to give away stuff.
So folks, if you're watching this live, if you're watching this on if you're not subscribed, subscribe, because how you can only chat with us if you're subscribed. But hey, let your friends, let your community know we're here for you, and we enjoy doing this. So, Mike, anything else that we forgot to? Oh, wait, yes, there is something. Oh, Mike.
Oh dear.
Almost forgot. And you're the one that reminded me. So we got to cover this, folks. Indulge us for a moment.
Ah, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to put a link into the chat, and it's important, folks, because we're doing a match. The tavern is doing a match. I'm going to wrap the match up on my birthday, which is Saturday. So we've already raised. I was matching the first 250. Oh, it was first. Oh, if we raised 250, I was matching 250. We did that. Next goal is if we raise 1,000 through the tavern, you got to let me know, either as a comment on one of the posts where we talk about it, or you email me at tenkarstavern@gmail.com, or tell me on Facebook or on Discord. We're looking to raise $1,000 from this community to help her. If we get to 1,000, I will up my match from 250 to 500.
This is for Darlene, the who guest at North Texas, obviously creator of the Greyhawk map. She's still working. She just had a beautiful full page Gilio and Doro Deep, Greg's Doro Deep, but she has a very old Victorian house, and I have talked to a friend who has his knowledge of this. This house is basically pretty close to being condemned because after her husband passed away a few years ago, Darlene was not able to keep up with the maintenance of the house, and they have been by several times. They papered the house, gave her some red stickers saying, you got to fix this, got to fix that. She just does not have the money to do it. So trying to get about $15,000. The auction kind of stalled out a little. It's at 66. North Texas dropped $100. A few other people have dropped some money. Every little bit counts, like they say. $10. You know, $10 will help.
Skip
a little bit
of Starbucks for one day.
Yeah.
You know,
she's a wonderful person. I mean, she should be able to live her last years. Not that she's coming up on her last years anytime soon, but she should hopefully be able to get this work done, and be able to live very comfortably in the house. And so that's very little to ask for somebody who is, one of the founding fathers of our hobby, and the first. They call her the first lady of gaming for a reason, because she was really the first woman in the gaming industry who did. Her cartography for the Greyhawk map is amazing, and she paved the way for a lot of other women in gaming, by doing that. So it was weird, because when I was a kid, I didn't think anything weird about that she did the map. I just saw this map this is the coolest map I've ever seen in my life, and it never really hit me that the significance of it being a woman that did that map. I just thought it was cool, and never really thought about it. It wasn't until years later that I realized that, there's really no women cartographers. Well, now there are. There's a lot of women cartographers. You have Alyssa Fadden, you have Anna Meyer, you have a whole bunch. And so, but they all started out with Darlene. So,
and if you ever meet her in person, she is the kindest, sweetest woman
absolutely a sweetheart. Absolute sweetheart.
Honest to God. And it's part of the reason why when Justin put up his video with his veiled threat about getting her involved in the lawsuit, it really, really got me going. So that's the reason why I would love to get to the point where you folks tell me I have to match for 500. So can we get up there? I'd like to see it. I'd like to see. She has a $15,000 goal. I'd love to see it go beyond that.
And we're already up to 67.43, so that's great. Somebody must have dropped some money just
Okay,
now.
good.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, whoever did that. But yeah, she's worth at least $10-$20, guys.
Yeah,
It is.
honestly, you're not gonna find a woman, a person who is so good-hearted, and I'm not gonna. She is an honest to God treasure for our gaming.
And if you see her in a con, I mean, she has the best stories ever. I have some stories I can't even share with you because they're somewhat risque. And she would tell about her days at who she was dating when she worked at TSR that were hilarious. And so she is just a total bundle of stories and just knowledge of, the early days of TSR. And she knew everybody. Everybody loved her back then. Gary loved her. I mean, they just all hung out, everybody just really just gravitated towards it. So she knew everybody that worked there back then, and she made friends with everybody. And so she has some great stories. Just ask her to talk to you about some stuff, and she'll really educate you on the early days of TSR, what was going on there. It was wild and crazy in some ways. Let's just say that.
So, folks, again, help Darlene. You're going to be helping the community. You're going to be helping somebody who honestly deserves it. Other than that, Mike and I thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a blast. My last night in the Poconos for at least a couple of weeks. Yeah, well, we'll have to do at least one more of these before we wrap the summer.
Yeah, but you're going back to beautiful. I mean, it's still not as bad as it is here in Texas. So I don't.
No. At least I go back to New York and I have a garden, so at least it's not horrible. Folks, we're not going to go deep into it anymore because the pandemic is like an endemic. Use your common sense. All right, you know where you live. You know your risk factors. Whatever, common sense. Be safe, be well, God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. Does this mean that next week Gary is our special guest?
Maybe we'll see if he can get up. Let's see if he can get the tabletop events up. I'll let him be a special guest. He's got to get that tabletop events up first because I don't want to send people a blank page. I don't want to send them to empty page and say, "Well, gaming will be up next week." So
no.
Gary, get your butt in gear and get that stuff up, and we will have you on next week.
All right, folks. On that note, we're out of here. Thank you so much. God bless.
Later.